This conference is being recorded.
Hello, this is Russ Tanner from Global Skywatch, and this is September 7th, 2015, and this is Global Skywatch Radio. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. We are going to be opening the phone lines. If you have something you want to say or something you want to share, please call in. The call number is 605-562-3140. And the access code is 1562230. You get all that information by going to globalskywatch.com/live. And we want to start the show tonight with any announcements that people have or want to make call in. We want to announce upcoming events. We want people to be able to tune to this show and know what's coming up next week or next month. And we want people to be able to get used to having this show/meeting. Originally, this was actually much more like a meeting that people could attend to share ideas, coordinate projects, and so forth. That was part of what it was all about. So, I know we have some people on the phones who want to share. Kathy, are you with us?
I am.
All right, Kathy. Why don't you tell us how you're doing? What's going on?
I am doing really good. Really frustrated with looking at the sky, but I think that's going to come in time that we are able to stop all that. There's a couple things going out on the West Coast here. I just found a new group here in Southern Oregon called the Southern Oregon Blue Skies Project. And they are having a fundraiser concert on Friday night at the Jackson Wellspring Casbah in Ashland, and it's from 7 to 10 p.m. It's to bring awareness to this problem of the geoengineering and a fundraiser. And I'm going, and I'm hoping that some of us Southern Oregon people go. And I also want to remind people, in case they are down in the Sacramento area, there is a gathering at the state capitol on Wednesday, September 16th, from 11 to 3 p.m. Patrick Roddy is going to speak, and I'm hoping that there's a really good turnout. I am actually contemplating driving down there to go to that. It's only a 6-hour drive. But I think that a show of force is what is needed in this fight against this crime.
Yeah, I hear you there. We do need a show of force. We need to let politicians and people know that this is very real. I still have people contact me all the time who claim to be scientists and brilliant people trying to convince me that this doesn't really happen and this isn't really going on, and I'm just astonished that these people are either so blind, or I think most of them are really disinformationalists trying to convince me. So this event that's going on, it's going to be Friday night. And can you give the times again? And for people, well, go ahead, give us times and details again so people can write this down and put it on your, if you're running a Facebook page or another event page, please put it on your page. Let people know about this. We need to work together. Global Skywatch Facebook page called Chemtrails Global Skywatch allows anybody to post their groups or information about their upcoming events. That's the point, is we want to get these things out. So please go through it again. Tell us what's going on with it again.
They can go to Southern Oregon Blue Skies Project. It's a Facebook page. They can like it. What's really interesting is when I found this page the other day, they had something like 188 or 89 likes. And Matt Landman got hold of it, and we started promoting this group, and they're above 800 likes now. So I encourage everybody to go like this page. Their fundraiser, and I'd like to consider it my fundraiser now, I would like to be involved in this also, is a benefit concert to fundraise for the Southern Oregon Blue Skies Project. It is at the Jackson Wellspring Casbah in Ashland, Oregon, on Friday the 11th from 7 to 10 p.m.
Awesome. Thank you for that. For those who are watching the stream, please look on the video stream. I love having a video stream because we can also share pictures and images of what's going on here. Hopefully you can see this on the video stream. Look up and you can see the Southern Oregon Blue Skies Project. Just all I did is I did a Google search for it and it came right up for me. So I hope everybody, I hope everybody can attend. Thank you for bringing that up. So what else is going on? Any other news you want to share? Or anything else that's on your mind?
one of the doctors that I work with at the hospital where I'm at announced the other day that he is running for the governor of Oregon. And last night I decided to approach him about his feelings on GMOs, because that's a pretty safe topic. And I gradually worked into the geoengineering of the skies, which he really knew nothing about. It's amazing to me that people know nothing about it. But I gave him geoengineering websites, and I'm really hoping, I told him that if he decides to actually address this in public, like most politicians won't, that there is a rather large support base out there for him. So I'm hoping that he takes the suggestions and does some research, and it would be really great to have an actual voice in the government that is aware of this and willing to do something about it.
Yeah, not only that, if we let people know that you're going to have tens of thousands of people supporting you if you support this platform. No more spraying of the skies. This must stop. You know, this must be brought to public attention. How would you present that? I mean, how do you do you have a particular way you would envision that they would implement this? Are we talking about passing laws to stop it? Are we talking about just raising public awareness? Are we talking about getting our states to do testing? What do you think?
I think he's got a very scientific mind, and I don't want to give his name yet because I don't want to scare him away. But I think when you talk to people like doctors that are very scientific, you need to come at it with the science. And I'm hoping that on these websites there's enough science to satisfy some of his questions. I honestly think that to bring this to the public awareness is the key. People still think these things are chemtrails. I work with a very intelligent, fellow nurse, and we walked out this morning, and the sky was full of them. And I looked at it and pointed, and he said, "Oh, those are just chemtrails." And I said, "No, they're not." And I explained the whole thing, and people just, and I don't know what it. We're talking very, very intelligent people that just can't see it, and we have to break through that barrier, that vision barrier, both in the government and in the public. Well, I think the government actually knows.
Well, people in the highest positions do, yeah.
Yeah. So I'm stumped, and I think that it has to be a common language. People have to see it, and the fact that the mass media won't even broach the subject is a big hindrance to us, and they know that. By owning the media, they know that. So somehow we're going to have to show, by masses of people. I would really like to see a march on Washington at some point. I haven't the vaguest idea how to start that. And then, and the problem is none of us are built of money. But I think this starting in California, in Sacramento, at the Capitol on the 16th, is a great place to start. And the more I think about it, the more I think that I can't not be there. It's imperative.
Absolutely. I've got it up on the video stream again. I hope people are taking a look. Go to Southern Oregon Blue Skies Project and try to encourage everyone you know. You may have people in your group that are in that area or would be willing to travel, so if you have a Facebook group or something, please share that. I also want to refer back to something you said a second ago, Kathy, that I think is really important. There's so much information I wanted to cover tonight, and I'll get onto that in a second. Not that I'm in a hurry, because I've been actually working on resetting up this audio stream since this afternoon. I've literally been working about 6 hours, the last 6 hours, trying to get all the technical glitches worked out. I still don't know if they're all worked out, but it's just surprisingly complicated to do something like we're doing reliably, just something like this. It's not just like renting a live stream chat and then making it work. It's there's a lot more to it. But nevertheless, what happens with media, Kathy, I just want to bring this up so people understand, is that the disinformation is part of what's killing us out there. There are millions of dollars being spent to put out disinformation to convince people these are chemtrails. And the problem is that we have the harder job because people don't want to believe this to begin with. You're not giving them candy. You're giving them something very sour to eat. It's not easy. It's not sweet. It's not chocolate. And they would rather take the chocolate. So it's very easy to disinform people because you can tell them, oh, those are just harmless contrails. Don't worry about it. And you will capture 80% of the people or 90% of the people or 95% of the people. Tell me what you think the percentage would be. But you're going to capture so many more people because they're inclined to believe the lie because it's easier, it's not scary, and they don't want to deal with it. Because and people prefer to stay ignorant. This is another thing that people do, is they prefer to stay ignorant, and all you have to do as a disinformant is give them a reason. All you have to do is give them permission and say, you know what, it's okay to believe this is a contrail, or it's okay, this isn't really your responsibility. And as long as they can find something to ease their conscience, they would rather go on and do the things they'd rather do. They don't want to deal with this, especially if it doesn't bother them like it does me. With me, I have no choice because I'm 24/7, I am suffering physically. I have physical chronic pain because of this. I smell and taste that my sinuses burn. I mean, it's just absolutely chronic for me. I've heard from hundreds of other people who suffer as well. But I think that's part of what makes our job so hard, is the truth is hard, lies are easy. What do you think?
I think that's very true. You know, as I was talking to the doctor last night, and granted I was not at my most profound, it was 4:30 in the morning, but I had a couple of my coworkers that I adore them. They are the nicest girls that I work with, but they barely humor me with this whole chemtrail thing. And they were actually standing off to the side mocking me in a way. And what's really, though, I found very hopeful was that he recognized the fact that I was being mocked and teased. And even though that was going on, it actually made him even more willing to listen to my information. And he even asked for the website, which you could see the confused look on their faces. It's like, what? He's actually listening to her? And I think that whole disinfo thing, it is more comfortable to not look. It's a requirement when you look up in the sky and you see that there's something be said, and they don't want to. It's not. You're right. It's not comfortable.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it really is. You know, and the thing is I will say this, is that a lot of what I want to talk about in the next few shows, I really want to cut to the heart of people, and I really want to talk, and I want to get more personal about this. I want to get more into what's going on in people's heads, what's going on in the heads of people who are doing this. And, you know, one thing that I've found in life, you know, I've always been a people watcher, and one thing that I've found is that some of the sweetest people, the nicest people, they'll treat you the nicest, they'll do something for you, they'll be so sweet and nice. What really gets revealed in their hearts, and I'm not trying to come down on people or anything like that, but we're at a point in time where things like this divide people. They divide the people who, by the condition of their heart. This is the way I look at it. There is often a large difference. There's a huge difference between what you see on the surface and what's really going on in someone's heart. And they can be the sweetest, nicest people on the surface, but when you start requiring them to do something, or you want them to face a hard truth or do something they don't want to do, you can see another side of people. And it is really eye-opening for a lot of people. It was for me when I started learning about people, when I really, in my early days of people watching and really getting to know myself, because that's how you learn about other people. That's how you begin to learn about the world, is you really analyze yourself and you look at all the yucky things within yourself and the selfishness, and you start saying, wow, is this who I really am, and why am I like this, and what should I do about it? But then you start realizing that other people are like that too, and what they show on the outside is not directly related to what's on the inside necessarily. There is a lot of correlation, you can draw a lot of conclusions, but it's amazing when somebody's really faced with something hard or something they don't want to do, how you can see a different side of people.
Well, you know, when in a job, in my job, there's a certain amount of continuing education required. You must stay on top of your knowledge base. And when people belong to churches, there's a certain amount of participation required, you know, or you can sit there and just listen. But there's things that you must do. In life, though, and I was contemplating that this afternoon, in life there aren't that many requirements that you actually put yourself out there. And I think that is part of what we are fighting and battling, is people don't have to.
Yeah, I think that the spraying has been designed. They've been testing this for decades, I believe. They came up with sprays that people could not smell, could not taste for the most part. Now I can, and I say this on every show. I am sorry if people hear me on every show and they get sick of this, but for the new people, I'm going to tell you right here and right now that I smell and taste this as if you were spraying powdered aluminum in my face. It is so overwhelming. It keeps me up at night. The taste makes me nauseous. It burns my sinuses. It burns my eyes. I have a whole, and there's hundreds of people who have contacted me. So if you have those symptoms, you are not alone. In fact, starting support groups for people who are victims of the chemical aerosol spray program might be a really good idea. Get people on board and start getting people to understand that this is very real. But anyway, getting back to my point, is I think that they made sure that they made the particulates so small and designed them in such a way. I'm not sure how they did this. Maybe it's just because the particulates are so incredibly small, because they're too small to be caught by HEPA filters. But most people don't taste and smell them. Now, I do know this, is that almost everybody has reactions to them. When the air gets really bad, I see the behavior changes in children. In adults, I see adults get tired. I see them get ornery. I see them get headaches. In fact, I don't know any adults who I'm around any period of time that don't have a reaction to this. I see it because I know when a plume falls on us and the air gets really bad, and sometimes that can happen in 2 minutes. If a plume is coming directly down on us, 2 minutes, it can get really bad very quickly. And I see people get headaches. They start feeling bad. Their joints start to hurt. They get tired. But they don't make a connection because they can't smell or taste it. So I think that that has been one of the things that they have worked on for a long, long time, to try to keep it out of people's ability to sense as much as possible, so they would never put 2 plus 2 together.
Well, when I started putting the dots together, it was actually listening to your show, talking about the effects and the physical effects, and I started doing research on the chemtrail-related illnesses, and I think I said before on this show that I was really battling blood pressure problems. And what I'm standing out in my yard, looking up at the sky, a total chem sky. I have literally watched, in the time I've been talking to you, 3 planes go over spraying that stuff that disappears really quickly.
Yes.
And that stuff that I know, having watched it, and for the last 2 or 3 days they've been spraying that intermittently with the stuff that stays cloudy. I know I've been battling blood pressure again, headaches, tachycardia. I don't know what's in it, but I don't like it.
Me too. And I can correlate all my symptoms. In fact, there was one day, I spent a lot of time in Philadelphia in 2014, and there was one day I was exercising down there, and my whole life has changed. Because of chronic inflammation directly from the spraying, it has completely changed my life. I can't work out. I used to work out every day. Now I have to work out gently. I have to work out between the plumes. It's in many days I don't even work out. There was one day out of 2014 that got so mild I could barely sense it in the air. I don't know what happened, but for whatever reason, and it wasn't one whole day. It was actually about less than 2. It was about 2 hours roughly, and it was the only time since the last time that had happened, which was years before, probably 2011 or 2012, that we ever had a day that had, or even a few hours that had gotten that mild. During that 2-hour period, I was able to do things I haven't been able to do for years. I could really work out hard. My heart rate barely increased. I felt incredibly good, and because I can smell and taste it, I can tell you that my entire experience in life, all my health, my blood pressure. It affects my blood pressure profoundly. I have veins that stand up out of my arms. It looks like I'm in the middle of a hard workout, just from the plumes. And my heart starts to hurt. My lungs start hurting to the point where I start getting short on breath. My lungs are, becoming inflamed. And so I know there's no question in my mind. It's absolutely blatantly obvious in my face every day. It's been 10 years now. I've been trying to wake people up about this. For me, it is just as plain as it could possibly be because it so correlates with my health. In blood pressure, I've received phone calls from people, I've said this on the show before, that I've gotten phone calls from people and we've gotten in conversations, and they say every 2 hours at night, and it's funny, they say it's only at night, after it gets dark, every 2 hours all night long. I mean, every 2 hours I have these terrible fits. My blood pressure just goes up and down and up and down. Every 2 hours it just peaks. And I'm like, me too, except I know what it is, because every 2 hours is a typical spray pattern. Now, that's not set in stone anymore. It used to be. There used to be very tight patterns that they would follow, but in 2011 they started breaking those patterns up pretty dramatically. But the patterns were pretty set in stone, and I could completely predict within 30-minute tolerance what was going to happen all day long, what day of the week. But anyway, so this affects people very profoundly. It's very threatening to people's health. There's no doubt in my mind that there are probably countless people who are no longer on this earth today because of the symptoms that this has caused or aggravated other symptoms that they already had.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And the problem is it's so hidden, it's so covert that nobody sees that maybe whatever symptom they're having is actually related to this. It's invisible to them. They don't get it. And, I have a new doctor that I'm going to go to at the end of October, and I'm going to go in there armed with information and say, look, this is what's going on. This is what I want to be tested for. Education, and I think education of the medical people, and I know that's frustrating. I've worked for doctors for 35 years. It's frustrating. But I think that's imperative because these health effects have to be treated appropriately.
Yeah. Yeah, they really do. And doctors, unfortunately, classically don't know a whole lot about metal detox. Mercury was one example that some of the modalities of mercury detox started to get written out of the medical textbooks along with cancer treatments in the 30s. So this has been going on a long time where this information starts to get hidden and covered up, and doctors aren't trained about nutrition and detox and these things. I mean, they do have some, of detox, virtually no nutrition, if any, training, but it is amazing. I grew
they're
up...
both specialties, and they're not, in a medical school they can only hit on so much.
Well, it seems with that many years they should hit on a lot, you know what I mean? But I mean, especially these really important things like what you eat, what these things do. I mean, how many stories I've heard. In fact, I'm in the herbal industry, and I'd say 90%, conservatively 90% of the people who have become herbalists to help other people started because they had an illness that no doctor could cure. They went, took care of it themselves, and were so amazed they started a business to help other people. I'd say 90% of the herbalists I know, and I know a lot across the United States because that's who we work with.
Yeah, this doc that I'm going to go to see, and the reason I can't get in right away is because she's so popular, because she is a reputation of being one of the most holistic MDs in the area, and she's Ayurvedic, is that the
Ayurvedic, yeah. Ayurvedic.
Yeah, she's into that, so I'm hopeful that she'll listen to some things, and I'll go in there with my list of herbal supplements and say, this is what I take, and this is why I take it, and it's working.
Good. I know that's what we do, is we produce scientific information on herbs, and a lot of our herbalists and NDs and even just people give pages, our product pages, to doctors when they're saying I'm taking an herb, and it turns doctors around. When you understand that there's science behind it, they really do help. Herbal supplements, nutrition, and foods, the right foods, can turn most of your diseases around. In fact, most of your diseases are caused by either malnutrition induced by toxicity or infections, which are probably indirectly induced by immune suppression, like even mercury. I mean, I had candida. A lot of people don't make these associations, but I had terrible candida issues the last couple of years before my amalgam fillings came out. I took them out within 24 hours, and I fought candida. I mean, it was a war for me. And it had gotten worse and worse and worse as the mercury built up in my system between 1995 and 2000. I had my fillings out 24 hours later. I couldn't give myself candida. I went out, I had coffee and donuts and candy bars. I'm serious. I was blown away. I'm like, is this for real? Is this really what I've been fighting all of my life? It all comes down to mercury, all my physical symptoms, all my emotional struggles, all my fears and phobias, all my sleep problems, all of it mercury? Yes, it is. Every single thing. I lived 4.5 years an absolute Superman. I felt like Superman. I lived in bliss once my amalgam fillings came out. Until that November month in 2005 when I first got blasted with chemtrails, and then it was all downhill from there once again.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah. Tell me about it. Well, anything else you want to chat about, or?
That's good. I don't want to hog up the whole show, and I just wanted to make those couple announcements. Well, 3 actually. I'm going to really talk to that doctor,
Good.
And hope that he listens. Hope that he hears. Pray that he listens. And I don't discount prayer in this whole thing. And we really do want to hear what's in the mind of these people that are doing this. I think it's icky and dark, and I think understanding, facing the enemy is what needs to happen. Understanding the enemy. Know your enemy. I think there's so much profoundly wise in that statement.
Absolutely. Know your enemy. In fact, if you're looking at the stream right now, I'm going to open up a page. This is on the Orbis Vitae website. This is ORBIS, Orbis Vitae, VITAE.com. There's how you spell it if you're looking at the stream. Kathy just mentioned the words know your enemy. And this is so personal to me. My life has been wrecked because of this spraying, and I'm very inside. I have to hold it inside every single day, but I'm very angry and very upset. I'm just being very honest and vulnerable right now by saying this, with so many of the people that I know who don't want to do anything. They don't want to know. As long as they think it's not affecting them, they don't want to face it or deal with it. And so they leave people like me to deal with it. And I feel like these are the same kind of people, and I'm sorry, I'm not trying to bash anybody, but at the same time, we have to start to get real about who we are and take responsibility for what's going on and start separating those who are going to help us from those who are not going to help us, those who are part of the problem from those who are part of the solution. And it's kind of like, if you've ever seen those videos where, in fact, I'm going to go to Know Your Enemy. Go to Orbis Vitae. I'm going to get back to this. OrbisVitae.com. Scroll down, go to the Fuel Project. It's the picture of the flame that you see right there. Click on that, and there is a video series called Know Your Enemy, which will give you more insight about what is inside the heads of these people who are spraying you than probably any other single piece of literature. This is a series of 77 videos ranging anywhere from about 7 minutes to 20 minutes each. And it goes through a whole bunch of the aspects of who these people are, what they're doing, why they're doing what they're doing, not specifically related to chemtrails, but specifically related to the corruption that's in the world today. And I hope that people will take the time to watch this, because it will really help open your mind. But anyway, I want to get back to, for me it's very, very personal, and it's kind of like those experiments you've seen where they would videotape a guy who was an actor, would pretend being sick out in front of a business or the county building or something, and he'd be laying on the stairs moaning, and everybody just keeps walking by and walking by. And they don't want to know, they don't want to deal with it. And I understand people are in a hurry, they got things to do, their lunchtime is limited, but there's a guy suffering. Can you not stop and say, hey, what do you need? Do you need an ambulance? What can we do for you? And it's amazing how many people will completely ignore that person. Are you familiar with any of those?
Oh,
you ever seen those?
It's cowardice. I think it all goes right down to cowardice.
Yeah.
Sit and let someone else take the forefront. There's people at work that I know are aware of this, but go out there and do all the legwork, and cool, we'll let her do it, because then it doesn't require anything from us, because we're cowards. It's easier to be a coward, and I don't mean to call people out, but I guess I am. It's time for everybody to just suck it up and be part of the solution.
Yeah, it was one thing when it was fluoridated water and you had a choice. Now there's no more choice, and now it's a lot more deadly than fluoride, because now we're talking about induced inflammation, we're talking about chronic inflammation, we're talking about poisoning of toxic metals, we're talking about constriction of capillaries, we're talking about aneurysms, strokes, we're talking about heart attacks, we're talking about cancer, we're talking, and nobody has a choice anymore. And for those people who just, that I have shared this with, it's so hard for me. I have to suppress my anger. I have to work on forgiving them, because it is so selfish. Yeah, and I'm sorry, again, I don't mean to condemn anybody, but I have to be honest. I feel like, I have a microphone in front of me, and I never in my life dreamed I would be doing this. I was always the really shy guy who, never liked being in the public eye, and I don't like doing this. In fact, when chemtrails end, I would stop doing this and go back to my life, and because I put a lot of time into this every day. People have no idea how much time it takes to run a website and live stream and forum and groups and try to organize events. I mean, it's just consuming, and then I'm trying to make a living too, because I have to make a living. But it's just, I'm being vulnerable, putting this microphone in front of my face. I've kind of decided, I'm going to start being more and more vulnerable. If you're going to really reach people, if you're going to, and I want people to call in and be vulnerable too. Tell me how it feels. Tell me who you're angry at. I'm angry, and I really am. I'm just confessing. Maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe I should be more forgiving, but I am so sick of it. I am so sick of the apathy. I can't stand the disinformationalists. I have people sending me emails who tell me, oh, you're wrong about this, you're wrong about this. And I'm like, I smell this and taste this. I have watched this stuff descend from the sky and come down and smell and taste it. I've watched this guy since I was in elementary school. I collected pictures. I have military in my family. I have flown. I have pilots in the family. I could go on and on. I've lived on military bases. Look, you're not going to convince me. There is no question. The stuff that I'm, with every breath as I sit here, and I know I got to cut myself off because I could ramble, but as I sit here, every breath I take in, the surface of my tongue is like a mixture of some chemical, some bitter, almost like a pharmaceutical mixed with aluminum and some other blunt metal. And every breath, with every breath I take, it hurts. And my inflammation, when I put my wet mask on, it takes 10 seconds for me to begin to feel relief. I mean, I can just begin to feel the very, very beginnings of the inflammation subside. And over a few minutes, I can feel 5 minutes, I can feel 50% better with my wet mask on. That's for the last 10 years. That's a completely consistent pattern, besides the fact that I taste and smell it, besides the fact that I see it, besides the fact that these jet engines do not put off trails. I am sorry. They don't. It is a lie. It is propaganda. Yes, there is a type of engine, water injection engines, which are not even made anymore, like the SPAY 512, and there's a couple others that were used on the BAC 111. The only ones that are aloft anymore, I believe, they're all in Europe. I don't know of any in the U.S., and there's about 50 that I know of on the BAC 111s that are still aloft that do use water injection. But even with water injection engines, you're not going to see them from the ground, and if they do condense in the air and form a little tiny trail, it's going to be so short you won't see it from the ground, you won't see it from the plane. It's most of the time you're never going to see it, even when they do use water injection. It's just simply not going to be seen. And people who say, well, 10 or 20 or 30 years ago I saw trails, they were testing. They were testing. People say, oh, I lived in this particular city, I saw them over my city for years. They were testing in your city. This is not something that these jets do. I mean, the disinformants try to, I'm getting a little noise here, so let me, okay, I guess, the disinformants just try over and over again to, convince people, and I get angry at this. I get angry, and there's people within the movement too. Let's talk about this. There are people attacking other people in the movement, and I like almost all of them. I have a problem personally with very, very, very few of them. I can think of only one right now I've got a problem with. I like the rest of them, but they're fighting with each other. And I understand, I know both sides of it. I've heard the stories, and it hasn't been properly represented to the public. And, almost every separation between people is based on misunderstanding, so we have to communicate. So here, see, I told you I would ramble. See? But
you trying to separate the emotion. I honestly think that what we need right now is the emotion. We need that connection because, there are people that are very cerebral, and you look at Dane. Dane is a very cerebral individual, and he attacks the situation from the scientific approach. And then there are other activists that attack it from the emotional approach. And neither one is wrong, but they fight with each other. And I honestly think that emotion is a strong driving force. And anger is an emotion. Fear is an emotion. It's all an emotion. And that's how they sell this other crap to the public.
That's right.
By hooking into some emotion on some commercial. So I think that we need to also hook into that emotional component in people.
I absolutely agree, and in fact, I mean, I don't know if I should say this on the air, but it was, you know, not that long ago, just a couple months ago, I had an argument with a couple family members, and I won't get into any details, but I let it flow. I was so angry. I am so sick and tired because they are the problem who don't want to know. It is not, nobody's an island unto themselves, and people have to get this out of their minds, and it's time for people to get angry. I'm not saying go out and do violent things. It's not what I'm saying, so nobody misunderstand me. But show your passion and show your emotion to people, because then you become that person that is a pain to them. You become that person that is annoying to them, and it makes them, maybe they don't want to be around you so much, or maybe they don't want, but it makes them feel uncomfortable. It's like, well, you already feel uncomfortable. They should feel uncomfortable because they are being neglectful to everybody, their household, their children, their spouses, their parents, whoever they love, whoever they care about and take care of. If you don't do something to stop the fact that we are being attacked, then you're neglecting this, and there is no more excuse. It is time, and we have to call these people out and say, you are the problem. If you will not do something, I'm not saying take 5 hours. I mean, people are busy. I get it. Talk about busy. I mean, I've got nothing. I have virtually no social life. You know, I get it. I understand. But you can cut out half an hour a week, an hour a week, 2 hours a week, educate yourself, and then start educating other people, and have passion. And understand that a lot of the reason you don't have passion is probably because you're breathing this stuff, because there are indications that there may be fluoride in this stuff. There's heavy indications that there's mercury in this stuff. And in fact, I'm going to open this. I'm going to go right now and show you this article. Do chemtrails contain mercury? Maybe I'll get into this later. I have absolutely no doubt in my mind. It's showing up everywhere. Nobody has an explanation for it. I have an explanation for it. It's coming from the air, and I'll tell you why later. But if you are not doing something about this, you are the problem. You are part of the problem. Apathy kills. There is no neutral. There's no such thing as neutral, and this is what people need to understand. And you, as somebody who knows about the spraying, you have the right, you have the obligation to go and tell people in the most loving way if you can. You know, we want to be loving, we want to be nice about this, but this is not a nice subject. This is a dirty hand subject. This is the epitome of evil that we are facing. And if you stand and do nothing in the face of murder and evil, then you are the problem. And that's just the way it is. You can do something. If you don't do something with what you have, do something. Not asking for 10 hours of labor a week, not asking you to not spend time with your children or your family anymore. But the time is over for apathy, because apathy kills. Apathy is evil. Apathy is the epitome of selfishness, and that is why we are here, because people let industrialists take control of the governments of the world. This is exactly what happens. They take control of the governments of the world, and once they get power secured, then they start expressing the evil that they want to do. And tonight, maybe we'll get into that some, or a lot. Whatever happens, happens. But I am putting together my research that I've collected over the years, because I want to share this with you and make it real, because this is deadly real. You have every right to be angry. Don't be violent, but be angry about it. It's called indignation. There's a word for righteous anger. And you have righteous anger if you know that you and your family are being attacked. Then you go to your family and you go to the people you know and say, why are you doing nothing? It is wrong. What you are doing is evil. Apathy is evil. Apathy is selfish. There's nothing more selfish you can do than to let everyone die and suffer, plants, animals, earth, soil, and not do something. At least begin with educating yourself. Watch a video. Do you know what it's like pulling hair out to try to get people to watch a video? I mean, we've all tried. Watch this video. Oh, I don't want to know. Because you learn when you're a child, right? Tell me if I'm wrong. Write on the chat room. Call in and tell me how you feel. This is what people do. They know when they're 6 years old. The lamp got broken. Oh, I don't know what happened. I don't know anything about it, Mommy. They learn when you're a child. that if you don't know, it absconds you from responsibility. And adults do it all the time. And what we need to do is stop saying, oh, I didn't know, and start saying, I do know, and therefore I'm responsible. And instead of pretending I don't know, live by your conscience and say, you know what? I am going to live with a clean conscience. I am going to actually do something. And this is part of the reason that we don't talk about. You know, Kathy, when people talk about how empowering it feels, when people go out on the street and you hold up a sign and you start educating the public that this is going on, it feels good. It feels empowering, and people go, wow, this is easy, this isn't hard, and people are supporting me, and they're beeping the horns and waving, and this is a great experience. And yeah, some people might not like it, but you know what? How many people did I reach today standing on this busy highway with a sign? You can reach people. You can get that exposure that we can't get through mainstream media. But there's another reason it feels good. It's not just because you're being empowered and you're realizing you have power, which you need to realize, because you do. If 3% of the U.S. population stood up and said no more, in 3 months the spraying would stop. I'm telling you, 3% of the population is what we need. But getting back to it, there's another reason it feels good, is because you're beginning to live by your conscience. Because inside it burns. And I know those people who I tell about this and they do nothing, that it nags them inside. It bothers them, if not consciously, then subconsciously, it's bothering them and it weighs them down. And that's why they feel like, oh, it weighs me down, I don't want to be near. It's a very childish reaction to something that weighs you down. You just want to run from it. But what we need to do as adults is to say no. I want to know about this so I can make an adult decision, a mature decision of what I'm going to do about this. What is going to be my reaction for my family, for my friends, for those people I love, to live a life with a clean conscience? What am I going to do? So I am going to let myself get more emotional. I've decided in my life, because I am angry and I'm tired of holding it in. I am tired of pretending and being kind. And you know, you got to be kind, you got to be nice, and you got to be respectful. I get that, and I will do that. You have to do that. That's part of being human. That's part of being civilized. But it's okay to be angry, because we're living in a time like no other. This attack is on my body. My body is in my custody. It is my responsibility, and I am doing everything I can to try to stay healthy, but I suffer every second of every day, not at the hands of the evil people who are doing the spraying. Yes, they are the objects that are actually carrying out the bad deed, but the onus falls on the hands of the apathetic. And isn't it interesting, you know, in Scripture, for those who know the Bible, Christ in Revelation actually makes a statement and says, I do not cast you out. You know, he's saying, I'm not rejecting you because you're hot or you're cold. I cast you out because you're lukewarm.
That was one of my dad's favorites, that one.
It's one of my favorites because it reveals, you know what, if you're passionately good, then wonderful. You're an inspiration. You're part of the immune system of human civilization. You know, you're wonderful. If you're passionately evil, you know what's going to happen one day? Is you're going to become passionately good. You're going to hit brick walls. You're going to be in rehab. You're going to have a motorcycle accident. You're going to break hearts. Your heart's going to break. Whatever it is that you're doing passionately evil, most of you, if you really are passionate enough to keep learning, you're going to start learning the truth and realize that you're going down the wrong path. And when you become good, guess what? You're still going to be passionate. So it is better. The message, I believe, of that is that it is better to be passionate than apathetic, and not just a little better. It is the difference between acceptance and rejection. Are you passionate or are you apathetic? And is it any mistake that fluoride makes you apathetic and it was put in the water system of half the U.S. cities? Is it any coincidence that amalgam fillings? In fact, let me share this while we're talking about. While I'm going and ranting and raving on this, please don't go anywhere, Kathy. But this is part of me. I'm gonna practice what I preach. I'm gonna start getting emotional, and I'm gonna start doing it tonight because I truly, I've tried to be. I'm gonna be a gentleman. I'm gonna be nice, but the time is over. There is no more time for pretending that this is all okay. Pretending that it's okay to be apathetic. That it's okay to be. To let this stuff go. Here's what I want to show you. Is it any coincidence. If you're looking at the live stream, the video stream right now, take a look. Connecticut dental mercury rule imperils patients. Okay, here's an article. Connecticut's Department of Social Sciences had taken a giant leap backwards in providing dental care for Connecticut's children. Without explanation, the state now mandates that medical or Medicaid recipients must accept dental fillings with 50% mercury in their molars. This is not the only state. I know in West Virginia, some of the people, and I don't know all the details about it, but some of the people who were on some kind of public assistance could not get any other type filling but the mercury amalgams. Why do they have these policies? No scientist, no true scientist would ever say it's a good idea to put mercury in the most volatile environment in your body, which is your mouth. Physical, chemical, abrasion, all of the materials, all of the forces that are at work, and that you never would put something. And we know now, scientists, we've known for a long time now that the mercury vaporizes 24 hours a day, 7 days a week from those fillings. Yet, why are these states doing this? Why?
Well, and it's not even any more expensive to have the composite fillings instead of the amalgam fillings. The cost difference is minimal. Well, there has to be some other dire reason why people are being mandated to have this.
That's right, and let's take it another step. How much more expensive is it to have amalgam fillings when you're going to have depression, you're going to have migraines, you're going to develop cancer, you're going to get rheumatoid arthritis, you're going to have allergies, you're going to develop an autoimmune disease, and you are going to probably get a handful of the 200 of the most popular diseases, which are caused by mercury or other causes, but mercury, you're going to get them. You're going to get sick over time. I've talked to countless people who have called me, and they said, I've been going to doctors. You know how many times I've heard this? I've been going to doctors for 5 years. And one pharmaceutical after another, one diagnosis after another was all wrong. And finally, I started researching mercury. I found your articles, and I'm like, this is exactly my problem. And now today, and I will put this little footnote in, is now today, now that we're having all these chemicals, and I believe mercury sprayed on us, when you have your amalgams out, I had a complete recovery. Within 24 hours, I was 85% better. I mean, it was miraculous. 24 hours, not even 24 hours. Literally, it was 12 hours. It was after I got up. I went home, went to bed, got up, and everything was gone. And the 15% of things that remained took 3 months, and 3 months later they were gone. And I didn't even do an aggressive detox because I didn't know anything about mercury detox. I just learned about mercury. I didn't know these fillings had mercury until 2000, and just until a couple weeks before I had my fillings removed. So, how much more expensive is it? And while you're doing this, and look at your screen. Yes, I'm ranting and raving right now, and I want to get other people who are on the phone too. I want you to stay with us, Kathy, if you can. But here's a video from the IAOMT right here. I don't know if the audio is going to come through because again, I've been working for 6 hours today trying to get this working. But what you've got here, look, these are vapors. If you see this, you can see the vapors coming off an amalgam filling. Look at this. And that's after it's either heated or scratched with an eraser of a pencil a little bit, rubbed. Look at the vapor coming off. Does everybody see that? I know the video's jerky on the live stream, and it's that way to keep the bandwidth down because I have low bandwidth, unfortunately, but that's, we got to do what we can do. So there it is. Look at that vapor. 24/7, you're breathing that vapor, you're ingesting it. Why would Connecticut do this? Why would they rule that those receiving care must have amalgam fillings when it's poison? We know it's poison. We know it's connected with many, many diseases. Why? Because the people making the laws profit from those diseases. Period. It's a coordinated conspiracy. It is a conspiracy that harms people for the profit of a handful of people. And that is the way the world really works. Take me off the hook, Kathy. I gotta come down. I gotta get my blood pressure down.
He's skyrocketing. So I just want to leave everybody with this one thought, because not everybody has a radio show. Not everybody is out there holding banners. Some people are shy, and they're their method is much more, let's say, not so exuberant, shall we say. But I just want everybody to follow this little example. The reason I found out about the Blue Skies Project here in Southern Oregon is because my daughter happened to be at Fred Meyer's shopping and saw a flyer posted on their information board and took a picture of it. She brought that picture home. I saw the picture. I thought, wow, what's this? Somebody I can hook up with. Then I mentioned it to a couple other chemtrail people. Now this group has been plastered all over the chemtrail pages. They've even got trolls attacking them now. They've made the big time. All because my daughter took a picture of a flyer. So if people think that just passing out a little black and white flyer or posting it somewhere, taping it up somewhere, doesn't help, they're wrong. Every tiny little bit helps. Just print out some black and white flyers. I was appalled at how much the color ones cost to get printed out, but, you can't minimize that one flyer to start a whole thing happening.
Yes. Yes, and that's part of the butterfly effect. You waking up another person who will wake up another person, and every one of those people has a skill or a talent or a passion that they will apply to getting the truth out. You have no idea the power you have. It's almost like one of those multi-level companies. You remember years ago, and they'd say, get in at the top, because you're going to have millions of people below you. This is what I'm saying right now, is you're in at the top right now. And if you wake up 5 people, they can wake up 50. Those can wake up 5,000. Those can wake up 5 million. So the numbers are still relatively few when you look at the percentages of the population. Although a lot of people are learning about this very quickly right now, the butterfly effect is huge. You have power. Don't do nothing. It's the worst thing you can do. So she took a picture of a flyer, and it led to this. It led to you knowing about it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. And so
it led to me mentioning something to somebody else who, Matt got hold of it, and it exploded all over. And so you cannot minimize one flyer.
Yes, you can't minimize it. And who's Matt?
Matt Landman, he started actual chemtrail activist.
Oh, right, I know who he is. Yes, I've talked to him before. Yeah. Yes, okay, yep, that Matt.
Yeah, he's very energetic in this.
Good, yeah. That's awesome. That is awesome. You can put up flyers, get business cards. You can, for $6, you can get 500 business cards. Put them on the little walls of your grocery stores when you're going. When you go out to dinner, drop a business card into the sweetener thing. Leave it on the table. There's a million things that you can do. Put little stickers, whatever, at one place or another, and you will get people one by one. And if we had thousands of people doing this, you would reach the entire population in a shockingly short amount of time. But we have to be out there doing something. Everybody, Remember, if you're one of 10,000 putting a drop in the bucket is overflowing 100 times. So just do those drops, and you will be shocked at how much things change. Kathy, anything? Okay, I've got the video. I've got the clip right now of this Southern Oregon Blue Skies project. One last time, date, time, so anybody who just logged in can hear.
This Friday, the 11th, at 7 to 10 p.m., there's been a couple of bands going to be there, and I'm really looking forward to meeting the people that have started this Blue Skies project and networking with them. And so anybody in Southern Oregon, Northern California that can be there, let's show up.
Yes, please. Yes, please. Thank you, Kathy. Thank you for everything. Appreciate what you're doing. I really do. I appreciate everybody.
We appreciate you, Russ.
Well, thank you. And I don't even know what to say. I'm very moved when I'm so inspired by people who do even little things. Even if you cannot do anything but drop a business card here and there with a website on it. I don't care if it's our website or Dane's website or whatever. As long as it's something that gets people knowledgeable about this subject, you have power to wake them up and to open their eyes and to apply social pressure to help change the world. It's amazing what you can do. So thank you, Kathy.
You're welcome. Have a good one. I'll keep listening.
All right, you too. You too. All right, I'm going to unmute the one person I muted because we had some background noise. Anybody else on the phone conference want to speak up? Go ahead and speak up. Love to hear from you. Now's your time. Hello, hello. Anybody?
Hello.
Hello. Who do we got here?
This is Gary.
Hey, Gary. Fill us in. What's happening?
Oh, remember that Cocoa Beach protest in Orlando? In Florida.
Yes.
Yeah, it went by great. They did pretty good getting the word out. I don't think I posted it on your site, your Facebook page.
Well, tell us about it. When did it happen?
It happened on Saturday. It started at 2 p.m.
Uh-huh.
in Cocoa Beach. They had a mobile, like it looked like it. They made a little joke saying it was a mobile CSI, but actually it was the mobile geoengineering unit. They took pictures of it. It was cute.
Oh, that sounds like what Kim does. It sounds like that. She made her vehicle all up, and she would drive around and have like one person, two person, because her daughter was with her, and have these little protests and wake people up. She did what she could. I mean, amazing. So they made up a vehicle. Like, did they write on it? What did they do with it?
I have pictures of it. I can post it. Maybe you could share it next week or something, because I have to, I would have to find it.
Oh, that's fine. No problem. So, yeah, tell us about how it went. What happened?
Oh, well, I can go because of car issues. I did get my car back on the road again, but I wasn't able to go to this protest because I need to do more car repairs.
Mm-hmm.
So I told them that I believe she's going to have them either once or twice a month, and if she's still doing it in November, I'll go to the next one. It's just getting the word out, holding signs in a heavily traveled intersection. You're probably aware of that part of Florida. A1A.
A1A, sure, yeah.
And another thing I wanted to touch on, what you were talking about the September, not you,
Kathy?
Kathy was talking about the September 16, protest at the Capitol. Someone just posted, I just posted on your Russ's Facebook page. I posted the governor of California they had sent some information to the governor that this was an engineered drought that plaguing California, and if you read the article, it goes on to show that he's actually behind it. He's making money off of it.
Really?
The governor.
Really? Do you know how? What is he doing? What's the angle there?
Yeah, if you look, okay, I posted it. It's got a link to it. So if you look on your Russ page, you'll see it. You have to go a little bit down the page because I was trying to find it to share it with you again.
You mean on the Global Skywatch Facebook page? Is that what you're saying?
Actually, your Russ Tanner.
I don't have anything on Russ Tanner where you can post stuff. So are you thinking of a different page? Oh, you mean on the Global Skywatch forum, maybe?
Oh no.
Oh, you mean on Facebook, on my Facebook wall is what you mean?
Yeah, your wall. That's what I meant.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, let me go take a look at my wall and I'll see if I can pull it up. Oh, there you go. California governor has received evidence proving drought was engineered. Is that the one?
Yes, that's the one.
Okay, well, let me pull that up so everybody can see. And by the way, if you're looking at your screen right now, thank you, Kim and Mike, for letting me know about the distortion on my end. I'm using a different type of sound system. I re-engineered the sound system here. That's what I've been doing 6 hours today. It's still not done, but I'm trying to get it working as well as possible, and this is part of the unbelievable amounts of time that it takes to get this stuff working, because I have to do, you have to merge this phone bridge in with the computer, in with your microphone, in with your mixer, and you have to, and I'm a sound guy, so I can do this, but it's just, there's limitations on all the pieces of equipment. If I had enough money, I would just go out and buy the one piece of equipment that would do it all. But I'm trying to piece it together with just try to bubblegum stick it together to make it all work and sound good and make it functional, and that's that's why it's so hard and takes so long. That's kind of like life, if you've got the money, you can go out and solve problems quickly and easily. If you don't, then you've got to put labor into it, and it's hard and takes a long time. But yes, thank you for letting me know about the bad sound. I appreciate that. Let me know how keep me up on how the sound quality is. I'm trying to paste together a system that's going to sound better and better. And by the way, if you're looking at the live stream right now, if you're looking at the video, you will see I'm running some slides about vaccines. You've seen the massive decline in disease, you'll see, and you'll see that these vaccines were introduced at certain points at which the disease continued to decline, sometimes at a much slower rate after the vaccine. And then the pharmaceutical company took credit for the eradication of the disease, when really it was really due to plumbing and sanitation is really where most people agree who have studied the subject really got rid of these subjects, or these diseases long before the vaccines were introduced. Like here's measles vaccine introduced in 1963. Between 1935 and 1963, look how much it declined. That was with no vaccine. Then the vaccine was introduced and it started declining more slowly, but the point is it was almost already eradicated. Here's another one. Sorry to jump in on this, Gary, but I just want to show this to people while I've got this up on the screen. Here's another one, tuberculosis. No tuberculosis, no regular vaccines were adopted through 1960, but yet look at the decline. Let me just show you another one. I love these. These were all put together by doctors. This is all medical information put together by doctors. Here's U.S. mean annual pertussis mortality rates per 1,000 people between 1918 and 1960. Look at the declines, decline. They introduce a vaccine here, and then the pharmaceutical company takes credit for eradicating the disease. This is part of the lie we're living under today. All right, let's get back to what Gary was talking about. Let me pull this up so everybody can see it. All right, California governor has received evidence proving drought was engineered. Is this the thing you're talking about, Gary? Or is that not it? Gary, you still with us?
Oh yeah, I'm here. It's a long article. You have to read down the page. It actually shows weather fronts and proof that there's aerosol spraying off the coast of California, and it's so like Dane's saying, they know what's going on.
Okay.
Started right when he became governor. Can you hear me?
Yeah. Go ahead. You're coming through fine. Sure.
Oh, okay. I just put an earpiece so I can hear it, and I have to put my ear over here because sometimes I'll talk and I don't know if you're talking, so that's why I just put the earpiece so I can hear. I just talk right into the mic. Since he became governor in 2011, pretty much when the drought in California started. And,
Okay, keep your mouth right up to the phone. We're kind of losing your volume a little bit.
Okay. In 2011, it's pretty much when he became governor is when the drought started in California.
Yeah.
Governor Brown. Governor Brown.
Yep.
Yeah. Then we had then it started to spread into Oregon and Washington now to the west. So it's all engineered.
Right.
And another thing about the protest. I wanted to now something a little about the protest. Real quick before.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay. You sound far away.
No, go ahead. It's fine. Yeah, I know you got quiet. I don't know what you changed on your phone, but it got your volume went way down, so I'm having to jack your volume way up to get you audibles. But go ahead.
Is this better?
That's a lot better. Yeah.
Okay. We're trying something a little bit different. Each time we do have an event, we'll post it on Facebook, but we're trying to get some new ideas on using flyers, announcing the event and handing them out to the public, so that way they can go. And those that say they're going to go, I know that if you remember April 25th, you did a show right after the Dane, that show, the Global Skywatch radio show. You did another show right after it.
Okay, right. Yep.
And remember the lady, I don't remember if it was Connecticut or Maine, she said that not too many people showed up, but she got people off the street the whole time. So it's not really hard if you say, let's say people put a light that they're going to go to an event, it'll be, kindly that they would show up in the event, as they say they're going to show up. But if they, you go to the event, still go to the event. If you're the one that's going to do the event, still go to the event, because you can still pull people off the street to help hold signs. It's not really hard, especially if you explain geoengineering, that this is affecting you, affecting the family. This is, if we don't do something now to get the 3% you were talking about, then we're going to be on in for a long haul. It's going to be, who knows how much time we have. So if you can't get people to show up, then try to pull some people off from the street to help hold the sign. That's why I want to encourage people to.
Yeah, I would.
Give up if 2 people don't show up.
Yeah, you want to get as many people. I mean, holding a sign, I think, is a great way. I mean, you just people who can see you passing by. You can reach so many people that way. It's such an awesome thing to do and easy. So right now on the screen, I put this up. September 16th?
Yes.
Okay, I've got it up on the screen right now. Protests in Sacramento to demand Governor Jerry Brown to put a stop to geoengineering. So if you're looking at the video, please check this out. I'm going to zoom in on the stats, which is Wednesday, September 6th, 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. Pacific time. And locations of California State Capitol in Sacramento. So there it is right there. Featured speaker is Patrick Roddy. So that's cool. Patrick is very passionate, very good. He was at the EPA. His was one of my favorite speeches. He really laid it on the line, and I like that. I mean, he said it the way it was.
I love it too, because he shows up. He says he's going, and he shows up.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, he is awesome. His speech was awesome. I watched the whole EPA speech, and I loved it. I just loved hearing him sit there and say it the way it is, and he is known for that. I mean, he's a bulldog. I mean, he says it the way it is, and that's very inspiring. It's awesome. It's awesome. So my hat's off to Patrick for his work and everything. So
Patrick does go to the San Francisco one too, doesn't he?
I don't know. I haven't. I had Kelly Dougherty on here several times, a couple of years ago. Great. We had such a great time. She's such a joy to speak to. She's so inspiring and uplifting, and she I guess founded and would work with the with that protest. I don't know what's going on with it anymore. If anybody knows, please call in. If you need to know the phone number, go to globalskywatch.com/live. Get the phone number, call in, use the access code, and tell us what's going on with the San Francisco protests. We'd love to hear more about it. Yeah.
You know what? I can ask Vale Hall. She would know.
Yeah. Okay. Great. Yeah.
He's also the admin.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. Well, Gary, anything else? I mean, I can't wait to see you. One day I'm going to make it down to Florida, visit my relatives, and come see you and your crew down there. And maybe we'll have an event or something. It'd be great to do something down there in my home, my stomping grounds where I grew up, down there in the Tampa area.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I would like to encourage more people to do events. It looks like the events are just picking up. That's what we need to fill up the month with a lot of events. That's what I would want to mention to everyone out there listening. That it's not really hard to start an event. I mean, if you have trouble, you can ask one of the admins at the chemtrails Global Skywatch that had started events, or you can even ask Rachel, sadly, the one that started the event for the Cocoa Beach event. I'm going to ask her when is the next one. I'm pretty sure she's going to do another one, so I'll bring it up. Because I did post each event that I've seen, the one that Kathy was talking about. I think I might have posted it on your your West Painter page too.
Awesome. Yeah, I've just Kathy just posted on the chat room in the next to the live stream. Said March Against the Drought on September 11th, 2015. Los Angeles Skywatch will participate. That is awesome, Kathy. Kathy's very passionate about this. She's up on this.
Excited, Wes?
Yeah.
When I see the numbers, it says 127 going, but I was told that don't expect that many. I said, okay, well, I won't get my hopes up. But I was hoping that really even 100 people show up would be wonderful. You know, that's what I'm. Just how do you, you know? I know people. That's a Saturday, right? September. That's on a Saturday, so I know people work, but a lot of people are off. You're off. You know, you want to do some drive and just go to that protest. We need to, like. I wish we can get 1,000 people.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we should. I mean, this subject deserves 1,000 people. And Kathy just put her website, the LosAngelesSkywatch.org, up in the live stream. And sounds like Tampa. She just put the website, LosAngelesSkywatch.org. Again, I want to give you, everyone who wants to call in, give you all the exposure you want. Here it is, LosAngelesSkywatch.org. Visit them. Keep up with the events that they're being involved in or sponsoring or whatever they're doing. Please support them. Los Angeles is getting really hit hard, and you know, and also here I just noticed on the page there's all the testimonies. There's Max Bliss and Amanda and Patrick Roddy. Love those guys. They did awesome giving testimony in front of the EPA, and all the videos are down here, so check that out. Hey Gary, anything else you want to share? And then I think we'll move on tonight. It's already 10:15. I'm gonna.
Well, I want to hear what you got to say tonight. I know you said you want to do your fun, talk about what's in the mind of these people. So I want to, hear if you have time for it today.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, Gary. Thanks for calling. I appreciate calling every time you call and doing what you're doing. Again, you're just one of the people that are constantly doing stuff, and that I have so much.
You're very welcome.
Yeah, thank you. I have so much thankfulness, and I don't mean to sound corny, but I mean I'm just so appreciative to the people who are really doing stuff against this, because there are no words. This has to be known, and I do want to speak to. I know there's someone else. We have someone else in the room here. I don't know if they wanted to speak. I see caller. I don't know if you're just listening or if you wanted to speak up. But before I go on, is there anyone else in the chat that would like to make an announcement or talk or speak or share an idea? Anybody there? I'm going to give everybody a chance. Okay. No problem. Anytime you can speak up to, I'll leave the phone lines unmuted as long as they're quiet. If they get loud, sometimes you'll see that I mute people. You'll hear your phone go muted. It actually makes an announcement to you that you're now muted, but I don't do that to be mean. I do that because there's a lot of background noise and I have to do that. I also want to say that today I plan on starting to do my research in this afternoon for tonight's show, because I put hours into research, especially when I'm going to cover a subject this important, because tonight, the title of tonight's show is Why the Elites Do What They Do. And this is a subject that I really want to cover. And while I'm talking, I'm just going to put up a graphic here for you to look at of inspiring people who are making a difference by going out and holding up signs. So easy to do, and you'll reach thousands of people. And then you'll meet friends, you'll meet like-minded people, have a cookout afterward, go have dinner together, have a good time. It's easy, it's fun, it's inspiring, it's uplifting, it's empowering, it clears your conscience. I mean, do it for the health benefits, if nothing else, if you can't find another reason, but just do it. And anyway, I want to speak to Gary. Tonight the show is Why Do Elites Do What They Do? I'm going to just confess to you all, I planned on researching. I was going to put in about 6 hours of research and put a good packed hour worth of information, because I have the information. I just have to organize it and present it in a way that it makes sense, because unfortunately if I just wing it, it's out of order. It doesn't maybe make sense. The problem is I was having so many problems with live stream. And again, I do this out of my pocket. I get this live stream channel out of my pocket. in the sound system I was having problems with. We're working with a different type of sound system tonight, and so far so good. It's working. I've got it put together differently. It's still not done. I still have to do some things to it, but I worked for the entire 6 hours. I was going to be doing research and working on the sound system. I had no time for research, so I'm not going to be able to cover this subject the way I wanted to, but I will absolutely do my best, barring anything unforeseen happening next week. I will dive into this subject of why the elites do what they do, what is in their head, what are they thinking, what motivates them, and I will get into it fast and hard, and I will tell the truth, and I will give you perspectives that you're not hearing in other places. Here, let me just mute a couple phones here. I will give you perspectives that most other people aren't talking about. There's a few people out there who are kind of treading along the lines of the research that I've come along, but a lot of people don't put the pieces together. Even today, I did a little reading today before I actually started, before I came to my computer, and it just, more stuff just came right out at me. And it's amazing when you do research sometimes, when you put your heart into research, things just come to you. I mean, you just find what you're looking for, and it all comes together. And I love doing research like that, and there's so much I want to share with you. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to wing some of the news stories I wanted to do. If anybody wants to call in and spark the conversation or ask any specific questions of what I may know about this, I will. I'm going to wing this the best I can tonight, just sharing some information with you. But next week, barring any unforeseen circumstances, I will dive into this with really hard impacting information. I do have notes I take through the week of stories and things I want to share with you. I've got them in a file, and I'm going to parse that file really quickly right now and see if there's anything that I can pull up that I want to share with you. Okay, here's something. These are some of the things in the news. Let me open up a new window here, and all right, nope, that's not the one I wanted to share. Oh yes, it is. Minority Report. Again, I didn't prepare the text on this. I would have, in fact, next week I'm going to take all these notes I've collected through the week to share with you about news and about what is going on in their heads, what's going to happen in the future, because they tell you what's going to happen in the future if you know what to look for. If you know how to watch the news, if you know how to watch the way they report current events, they tell you what's going to happen, and they don't tell you, I mean, you don't know exactly every little detail, but you get the picture of what is coming and how it's going to come. And I want to share that because I've watched the news that way for many, many years now. I've been doing this for a long time. And I don't consider myself a scholar on the subject, but I just, the world is not a mystery. When you get to a certain point of doing research, it all makes sense. I'm not saying it's all good. It's not good. It's so much bad. But it makes sense. At least you can say, I see where this is going. I know why it's going this way. And I want to help other people get to that point because that makes you unshakable. That makes you so that you know exactly where you stand, why you stand that way. And you're not shaken by disinformation. You're not shaken by lies. You're not coerced by any of the disinformants or trolls or shills that try to make you think other things. Here's an interesting thing. I will share just a skeleton overview of this with you now because, again, I'm not prepared. I apologize for that. I feel very bad for that. But, of course, 6 hours of working on the sound system, and I've got to do what I've got to do because without sound, you can't have a show. Most important report yet, Jade Helm. This is from Lisa Haven. She has a YouTube channel where she gives a lot of great cutting information about what's going on, and a lot of it from a spiritual perspective. And this is one of the things I want to cover because one thing that a lot of you don't know, a lot of people I talk to don't know, is that this is entirely spiritual. And I'm not sitting here saying, please don't misunderstand me, because I'm a very logical person. I'm a very scientifically minded person. I like evidence. I like to deduce truth. I like to prove it. I like to come to conclusions over time based on good evidence. And so when I say something like this is a spiritual, the things that are going on are very much based in spirituality, what I'm saying is that the people who are doing this receive, and I'm not making this up. I said this quite a while back on this show, that the people, and this is from their own literature, and again, I don't have, when I present this to you in the future, I'm going to have notes, I'm going to have the evidence, I'm going to have the quotes, I'm going to have the video clips to back this up so that it's a very impacting presentation, but again, didn't have the time to do it. They get their commands, at the high level, they get their commands spiritually, from spiritual writers. I'm not making this up. This is from their own people, from whistleblowers. One of the whistleblowers is Walter Veith. In fact, let me show you who this guy is. Go to the Orbis Vitae website. Let me show you how to navigate there. And this guy has incredible lectures. If you want to understand the world, this is one of the few people that will do it properly. And you have to be careful because there is so much disinformation today. There is so much disinformation because the whole world, there are a lot of people who think that they're avoiding the New World Order, that they're fighting against it, and they're falling right into it. Because that's, the people who are doing this know exactly what they're doing. They know how to trap you. They know how to suck you in. And that's exactly what they're doing with many, many, many people. And if you don't know the landmines, it's kind of like walking down a street and they planted landmines, and if you step on any one of them, then you're a child of the New World Order. You're going to fall right into it. And that's exactly what they do. So you have to be careful. You have to understand that a lot of people in Hollywood, let me give you, whet your appetite a little bit about what we're going to get into in depth next week, when barring, as long as I have the time to research this. Well, actually, before I do that, let me finish this line of thought. Go to Orbis Vitae, ORBISVITAE.com. Scroll down here till you see the geopolitical research area. Go to the very first subform, which is called Conspiracies, Introductions, and Overviews, which is right here. If you go here, you'll find incredible. You should watch every one of these videos. All Wars Are Bankers' Wars, The Corporation Nation by Clint Richardson. Must watch. If you want to understand the world, you have to. Just, every Saturday, cut out 2 hours and say, I'm going to educate myself. This is what I have done for many, many years, is I just carve out, this is what and I don't do this every Saturday, but Saturday has generally been research day for me. And I would just stop what I'm doing and learn. And it's amazing. It will change your life, even if you just dedicate 2 hours a week. Please do more if you can. Know Your Enemy, Mystery Babylon. But the thing I'm looking for particularly is this one called The Mark of Cain. This is Walter Veith's video. It's a lecture. Walter Veith was actually the child of a man who actually delivered, back in the 60s, I believe it was, he delivered messages from spiritual writers in different parts of the world to world leaders. And these are big world leaders. These are the heads of countries. And he would actually do the secure message delivery to these people. And he lectures in this video, The Mark of Cain, and it's extremely revealing about what's going on, has been going on, what the history is, and what's going on. So I strongly encourage you to watch this video. You won't see many videos like this. There's only a few authors. Walter Veith is one of them. Keith Thompson is another. There's only a handful of other people who actually have the whole picture. Most of the other information I hear about the New World Order has actually New World Order propaganda mixed in. And I believe most of the people are very well-meaning who are making the videos, but they don't understand that they're walking into a landmine. And that's one of my passion, is to try to educate you so that you don't walk into these landmines. So The Mark of Cain, this is a very powerful video by Walter Veith that I very much recommend. Also, if you go to the top of the Orbis Vitae website, there's a whole lot of videos across the top. There's another one by Walter Veith up here called The Secret Behind Secret Societies. I believe that's what it's called. Let me see if I can find it. If you're looking at the live stream, you can see what I'm doing here. Let me just do a page search. There it is. Oh no, it's called The Lie of the Serpent. That's another one of his ones. Really excellent. Almost anything he's done. I agree. His research and my research line up about 98%. There's a couple things I disagree with him on that I believe he's really wrong. He hasn't he's missed a couple things, but nothing against him at all. I mean, his research is among the best you'll find anywhere. So I really suggest seeing that. The Lie of the Serpent, The Secret Behind Secret Societies, I believe, is also in our geopolitical forum. Let me see if it's down here. Give me a second here, and let me see if I can find it in here. I don't see it right here, but a couple things to, if you go to orbisvitae.com, if you really want to start getting in the heads, just like we're going to do, hopefully in a few minutes, and in future, in the few upcoming shows, if I have time to prepare, which I hope I do, these videos really get into the heads of those. The New Age infiltration of the truth movement, that's what I'm talking about. Keith Thompson made this incredible video that shows how people who are well-meaning, who are in the truth movement, who are trying to tell people about chemtrails and fracking and vaccines and all of this, are walking right into the New World Order, and they don't know it. You've got to know the landmines. You've got to understand the landmines that have been set for you. Watch that video. This also, that's one of the most important videos you'll ever watch. So is this one, Aquarius, the Age of Evil. It's right along the same lines, and it will let you know the thoughts that these people are having. It's very, very important. Don't be fooled. Here's a video right here called Zeitgeist, Refuted Final Cut. Zeitgeist is, and this may insult people, and I'm sorry if it insults you, but if you do your research, you'll find out this is absolutely correct. Watch this video. If you're into Zeitgeist or the Venus Project or any other similar type of movement, and you think it's all wonderful and they're opposing the New World Order, they're not. You're stepping right into it. That's exactly what they want you to do. Zeitgeist, Peter Joseph has all of the makings of a Luciferian. He's pulling you right in to Luciferianism through the Zeitgeist movement. In fact, that's why the entire Zeitgeist film, the whole first third of it was all propaganda. In fact, much of it was completely made up. It's not true. They're completely made up lies. But it fooled most people, and the reason is because they don't have the background to refute it. And see, here's the thing you have to understand about disinformation, and this is critical, is the person who is first to reach somebody with disinformation is the one who's most effective. And that's why you see all these weathermen on TV talking about chemtrails, and they're saying, oh, these are just contrails. There are people out there who think that the government is spraying us in some conspiracy, but really these are just condensation trails. They're trying to get the first word in, because the first word is the most powerful. The first one, it sticks with you. Most of the people watching these shows who've never heard of chemtrails, and believe me, that's the majority of people, that program will go in one ear and out the other, but it stays with them subconsciously, and the power of the subconscious is never to be underestimated. It's really, really compelling. So they are reaching those people with a message that these are harmless condensation trails first before you ever get to them. Because by the time you get to them, they will already have this subconscious thought in their minds, that this subconscious belief that those are condensation trails. So you are already fighting an uphill battle, and that's part of disinformation. That's one modality of disinformation. And while I'm on this, I'm just going to talk kind of in threads here, because again, I don't have my stuff prepared for me, and I'm so sorry about that. I'm so passionate about doing this, about what's in their heads, because that will make everything start to make sense. But let me share this with you. On the Global Skywatch website, if you go down to the Global Skywatch news feed, which is right here in the header, click on the chemtrail news feed and scroll down here. What you want to find in here is Jesse Ventura. Let me show you a trick. When you're trying to find information on a page, don't sit there and search manually. Press Control F on your computer, which is find, and you'll see in the upper left corner, you'll see right up here, if you're using Chrome, and if you're using Firefox, it'll appear in a different location, but a little find window comes up, and you can type a search term. And so I'm going to type in Jesse, how about Jess, and what it does is it brings you right down and scrolls down to the first appearance. And then you can press Control G, which means go, Control G, go to the next match. Well, there it is right there. Why Jesse Ventura betrayed the anti-geoengineering movement. I'm going to click on this. This is an article on our news feed, which I believe is really important, because the most important thing, they're trying to weaken you, they're trying to make you doubt, they're trying to make you think that these are contrails, they're trying to do this to all the people. And they're trying to reach them as quickly as possible. And you've got to reach them as quickly as possible. You've got to make sure that you're steady in your way. You've got to make sure that you know why you believe what you believe. And you have to understand how disinformation works. I, for one, hate lies. I have no reason to tell lies because I don't care about being filthy rich. I just want to live. I don't need 10 million acres of land. I don't need to be a world leader. I just want to live a life where I can do good, help people, enjoy the fruit of my labor, and then move on after this life is over. This life is very short, but it is important what we do. But you don't have a reason to lie. I don't have a reason to lie. But I hate lies because those who do have an agenda. They have something they're trying to gain, and they're trying to do it dishonestly, and that means they're hurting other people. Jesse Ventura, Jesse Ventura gained a tremendous following, and this was all, in my opinion, this was all part of a scheme, because this fits the perfect profile of building a following and then using that following to throw a movement off kilter. And that's exactly what Jesse did, because what he did is through several years of excellent TV shows, he had Conspiracy Theory, and they did good investigations. They weren't always the best you've ever seen, but many times they did really good investigations. They revealed good information. It was pretty well done, and it was nice to see something like that happening. But I'll tell you maybe in a few minutes about an experience I went through which makes me very, very leery of trusting people in this situation, because I went through something personally that gave me a very early education as to how this works. And I'm telling you because you need to know this as well. And in the meantime, if any of you want to call in and comment, just go to globalskywatch.com/live and use the call-in numbers. You can call in from about 20 different countries, and call in and speak up. When you call in, your voice will automatically be able to be heard, so just speak up and comment, and we'll make it a little informal tonight. So anyway, so back to Jesse Ventura. He gained a very large following, and then what he did is he threw the whole movement off kilter by interviewing, instead of doing a show on chemtrails where he really did research and really revealed what was going on. He completely stunted, well, he didn't stunt the movement because he's the one who's lost credibility, but he did confuse and confound a lot of people and did enough damage because he had such a large following. And what he did is after he had such a large following, people tend, and this is human nature, people tend to invest more and more trust over somebody over time. So the more truth they tell, they have more credibility. The more truth, the more credibility. The more truth, the more credibility. So this is what these people do. The same thing happened with Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan did exactly the same thing, and these are operatives, I believe. They're inside operatives that are given a job to do. They're paid very, very well, and they do this because that is their job. That is what they're supposed to do because they're part of the other side. And I'm sorry to say this, and I don't want to offend anybody, but this is exactly the profile of what Jesse did, unfortunately. He gained a huge movement, a huge following, and then when he finally got to chemtrails, you got to remember that the spraying of the earth with chemtrails is the golden goose. This is the mother of all cover-ups, the mother of all destruction. This is the mother of all dumbing down the population. This is the biggest possible thing that they could do. And so they will happily concede many, many other conspiracies. And this is what Jesse did. He taught many conspiracies publicly, gained a big following, but they do not want the public to believe that they're being sprayed, because when the public really finally wakes up and grows up and realizes this, everything will change. People will be absolutely furious and irate because of the people who have died, the people who have been murdered, the loved ones, the children, the suffering. It is a very, very big deal. That is why they put so much effort, and they're willing to concede other conspiracies in order to keep people away from this one. They don't want people to believe in this one. So when Jesse Ventura finally approached this subject of geoengineering, who does he interview? Ken Caldera. And no one else. Ken Caldera in this interview, and Ken with his denial smile. By the way, if you look at people, you can tell people who aren't as skilled at lying, and Ken Caldera is not as skilled as some of the other people are. They have what I call, in people watching, a denial smile. When they're lying and they know they're lying, you'll see a little grin on their face sometimes. Sometimes it's not little. Sometimes they get a big grin on their face, and that's a natural reaction that comes from a place of guilt or inner shame on a subconscious level, and they do it. They don't realize that they're doing it, but you can see Ken Caldera does that a lot. So Jesse Ventura gets on this. He interviews Ken Caldera, who is, of course, a staunch debunker, disinformationalist about this whole subject, and they totally debunk the idea that chemtrails are being sprayed. And this was very effective, I think, in a lot of ways, because a lot of people really like Jesse Ventura, and I like him. I mean, he was a very likable guy, but I never got too attached. You have to be careful. When you see public figures like this, don't think that they're on your side. No matter what they tell you and how long they go, don't. You always trust your senses. You always trust logic. You always trust your observations above what people tell you. And this is one of the big problems we have today, and I'll get to this in just a minute. More on this. So Jesse Ventura went ahead and interviewed Ken Caldera, debunked chemtrails, and was able to, because of the power he gained in the movement of telling so much truth over time, really threw a wrench in the works. And the same happened with Joe Rogan. And we did a story, in fact, let me show you on the Global Skywatch if you want to see. I really tear apart Joe Rogan's expose on chemtrails in detail. Spent 4 hours doing it. It's much longer than I needed to. I don't go that, I try to make things quicker these days, but if you go to Global Skywatch Radio and look in the archives, here's the archives down here. Click in the archives, and again, don't search through all of these. It'll drive you crazy. Just Control F, find, and do a search for Rogan, R-O-G-A-N. There it is. August 15th, 2013, what happened to Joe Rogan? Click on it. You'll come here, little synopsis, click on the picture. It'll bring you to the page. Joe Rogan did the same thing. He made Michael Murphy look foolish. He made Scott Stevens look foolish. He made other people look foolish. And Joe Rogan had marketed himself as a truther for a long time, and he did the same thing Jesse Ventura did. So you lead people for a while, you gain a big following, and then you lie to them about which one. Now, is it any coincidence, do you think, that Joe Rogan and Jesse Ventura did the exact same turnabout on this one subject? Why is it that Joe Rogan told the truth for a long time and then lied about chemtrails, geoengineering? Is it any coincidence that Jesse Ventura did exactly the same thing Joe Rogan did? They both threw the wrench in their whole campaign to be truthers on this subject. Why? Because this is the mother of all destructive conspiracies. This is the golden goose. This is the money maker. This is the money shot. This is what it's all about. You've got to keep people dumbed down, poison, sick, reduce the population. Without this, they cannot accomplish the things they want to accomplish, which brings up the question, what is it they want to accomplish? So many things to cover. All right, so there's some things about disinformation. This is the article Gary had, and forgive me for having. Okay, let me get back. Let me make one more commentary about this Connecticut law now that requires, if you're getting Medicaid, you have to get amalgam fillings. Mercury causes 200, according to Dr. Hal Huggins, and my research agrees with him completely, 200 of the most common diseases today. Mercury is the other mother of all conspiracies. It also dumbs you down. Mercury separates you mentally. I mean, there's a lot of physical effects, but people don't talk about the emotional and mental effects of Mercury. And this is something that I really like to talk about because it's really been omitted. And people don't realize how it affects their life. If they're just looking at the physical part, they're not realizing about the anxiety, the panic attacks. They're not realizing about depression. They're not realizing how it makes you just anxious and jittery. You can't get deep sleep at night. Your sleep cycles change. Sometimes you can't get to sleep until later. You wake up several times. But what it does on a deeper level is it inhibits your ability to actually associate concepts with pictures. So when somebody's saying something to you, and you'll see this a lot in children, is you'll try to explain something to them, and they won't get it until the third or fourth time. Because what happens is when you're trying to understand a concept, you either consciously or subconsciously are drawing a picture. You're making a mold out of that, and so that you can actually remember it. And it puts it into a form that you can remember, but you can't. And that's one of the reasons also it interferes with memory. And it's not, and in my case, my memory got really, really bad. But as soon as my amalgam fillings were removed, and this was 4.5 years before chemtrails started, my memory came back, and my recall was incredible. Now, it will destroy your brain. It actually binds the tubulin and actin that's the insulation around your nerve cells, and it leaves the conductive part of your nerve cells, which are called the neurofibrils, laying around your brain, shorting out. It's like a bunch of shorted wires, and that's exactly the fingerprint we see in Alzheimer's brain. So I think aluminum is not the primary cause of Alzheimer's. I personally believe, and this is not medical advice at all, I'm not a doctor, I never will be, but I believe that personally, from the evidence I've seen, that mercury really is the primary cause of Alzheimer's, although aluminum does play a role, because when you mix aluminum and mercury, you increase the destructive capability in the body by orders of magnitude. And this has been actually proven in research. So why in Connecticut? You have to start seeing, why do they want a rule like this? Why do they want to keep people poisoned? They obviously want people poisoned. They obviously do. It's obviously about something. I mean, why would you put poison in people's mouths? You have to use logic. You have to use reason. Don't let anybody talk you out of the simple truths, because that's what evil or manipulative people often try to do. Is they give you where there is a lack. And let me give you this concept. This is something I wanted to share tonight as well. Forgive my disjointed talking, because I didn't have time to organize these things I wanted to share. Where there is a lack of quality information, those who are trying to deceive you will give you a quantity of information. They will also present information to you in certain neuro-linguistic patterns that will try to make you put your defenses down. And this is something that all presidents do. They're all trained in this. People, if you ever watch, it's alluded to a little bit if you watch the movie The Clinton Chronicles. Search for that on YouTube. Highly recommend you watch it. Larry Nichols, who was one of the primary witnesses, I mean, he had enough on the Clintons to put them away in prison forever, but the whole thing was covered up by multiple people in multiple agencies working together. Huge cover-up in Arkansas. Larry Nichols talked about Clinton back in the car doing his thumbs up impersonation of Kennedy, because people have such a powerful and positive association with Kennedy as a figure that people have, presidents or political figures have studied that persona, and they try to relay that persona. And it's a type of neurolinguistics that help convince people. Another thing they do is they leave big gaps in their speech. So when they talk, they'll talk and say, the American people have come together to find a brighter day. And they will say things like that and leave these long gaps. And what it does is it fatigues the listener. And when the listener gets fatigued, it breaks down their defensive. It breaks down their critical thinking. This is not me making this up. This is established science. This is why they do it. They are trained in this because it's very effective. That's why you can never let your defenses down. It breaks down your critical thinking ability. It breaks down your defensive listening capabilities, and so that you become fatigued to the point where after you listen to somebody talk like that for a while, you just start to accept what they're saying without filtering or discerning what is being said. And again, this is just part of neurolinguistics, and there's a lot to neurolinguistics. This neurolinguistics and other things are made much more effective by mercury. Mercury, like I was saying, blocks your ability to associate ideas, like left brain ideas, with actual pictures and put them in memory. And so you have memory loss. People can't remember things. They go to the kitchen and they don't remember what they went there for. That's classic. After my phones were removed before chemtrails started, never happened to me. I would do that all the time. I go to the kitchen, I have no idea what I went there for. I totally forgot. After my amalgam removal, never did it once. Never got sick once. I felt like Superman. My mind was so incredibly sharp. I felt like I had a computer database connected to my mind. It was absolutely incredible. People are not having those kinds of recoveries anymore because of chemtrails. I know people before chemtrails started in their area who had their amalgams removed who had the same experience I did. Absolutely miraculous recoveries. But people are not having those recoveries. And why is it important that they not have those recoveries anymore from an elite's point of view? Well, let me tell you why. I'm going to go to all of my list of personal articles I wrote about my experience with chemtrails. And by the way, you can get to this by going to Global Skywatch. Let me show you how to get there if you want to go there. I hope you do, because this is very personal and powerful information, because it comes from someone who smells, tastes it, feels the effects, and have paid very close attention in detail to the effects. And I want people to know how much it profoundly affects your life, even if you don't think it does. It even makes your computers fail, like your computer video card. You probably bought replacement video cards or bought computers that you didn't need to replace if it wasn't for chemtrails, because the particulates get into the bearings, make them wear out prematurely, make the fans on video cards fail prematurely. The fans fail, the video cards overheat, fail, and then therefore people go out and buy new computers, laptops or regular computers, or they have to replace their video cards. Because once that video card overheats, you usually will destroy the chipset on the video card. So it's cost you money. And I'm not just saying that's one example. It's all over. And your engines, other things that cause premature wear. But here's how to get to my story, which I want to share some things with you from there real quickly. Go to globalskywatch.com. The quickest way to find my story is right here in the left sidebar. I have a link here that says My Chemtrail Story and Observations. You can get there that way, or you can go see everybody's personal chemtrail stories by clicking this link right here under Reference, Personal Chemtrail Stories. And here's a whole list of people, a whole bunch of people. And if you have a story you want to share about your personal experience, just email it to russ@globalskywatch.com, and I'll be happy to include it here in this list. I have my story here on the list. Click on that, and it will bring you here to this story. Okay. All right. Part of what I wanted to share with you here was, I mentioned about computer. Let me cover this a little bit. And I'm sorry there's so much and I'm going quickly, but it's already almost 11 o'clock here and people have to go to bed. And I know we're not getting into the brains at the moment of people, but I really want to organize that information and share the information about what's in the heads of the elites when I have it organized. But I'll try to share some things tonight. Here's an article called Chemtrail Dark Test Kills Computers. I build all my own computers. The computer that I'm using right now, I built every computer, non-laptop computer that my business uses. I had 3 employees when I lived in Jamestown. We had like 12 computers in the house that ran 24/7. I built every one of them. And I do that because I can make the parts interchangeable. I can save a lot of money. When you're a small business owner, you have to sweep the floor and you have to make business decisions. I mean, you do everything. If you're a small business owner, you know what it's like. You're married to everything. What happened here is there were big changes in the type of dust, and I've got a lot of pictures I took when I clean computers, because every 6 months I got to get the computers out and pull off the covers, and I use canned air and I blow all the dust out, because if the dust builds up, the big problem is you'll have blockage of airflow, and then you'll start having parts that get too hot. And anybody who knows electronics knows that heat is the enemy of electronics. You can run a processor much faster than it's supposed to go, but when it gets hot is when it fails. So something changed with chemtrails. I noticed this because when I had to blow out and maintain all those computers, here's what I started seeing. If you see all this stuff here, all this gunk, these are close-up. The dust completely changed. There was, first of all, a lot of fibers in the dust, which you can see fibers here. But the dust became dark, and it would no longer blow off. Now, I've been building computers since the 90s. I mean, I actually had a small business. I was going to try starting a business, and I did, building computers, but then all the big companies like HP lowered their prices, and I couldn't compete anymore. That's what happened to all those computer builders. But I was one of those guys who was building computers back then. And I lived in Tampa, where Gary lives. And there was, because of the port down there, you can get all kinds of Chinese. You can buy motherboards. You can get all kinds of stuff down there from the warehouses. I mean, it's a great place for imports. So it was a great place to build computers. Problem is, when during all that time, when you would blow out a computer for years and years and years, and I would maintain, all the dust would blow out perfectly. It was beautiful. It's very easy to maintain computers. After chemtrails, the year after they started spraying, all this stuff started showing up. This is darker. There's some yellowish, and then it's black and brown stuff, and it's like mud. It actually sticks to the heat sinks, into the metal parts, into the fins, into the fan blades, and it doesn't spray off. You can spray and get some dust off with the regular dust, but this stuff I have never seen before. Is it a wild coincidence that this just happened to show up the same year the spraying happened? No, it's not. It's because this is related to the spraying. And in fact, here's a stack of power supplies. I'm just showing my parts bin. I have a whole set of I have a whole kind of computer repair cabinet, actually several cabinets where I have all spare parts and everything. So my computers, they can't go down. If my computer goes down, any computers go down, my business goes down. So I've got replacement parts and everything ready to go. So that's just a look at that. Let me get back to that in a second. So there's some of the dark dust. Here's some more close-ups of this. Some of it's fibrous, but this dark, sticky gunk that showed up at the same time chemtrails did. Here's a fan. You can really see some of the fibers on this fan. Let me see how I can zoom in on the live stream, how it looks. Yeah, there we go. That's pretty good. I can see it zooming in. Okay, good. That stuff doesn't blow off. You have to get a rag and wipe it off, and it's hard. It just sticks to everything. Never have I seen that before. Never. That's never happened in all the years I've built computers. That happened the same year they started spraying. This stuff started happening for the first time. There's a real close-up of a wire macro shot. I have a 10-year-old camera, but it has macro capabilities, so you can look at my Facebook page and see all my pictures of close-up plants. It's really cool. Here's a video card. Look at this stuff. Now air blows past this video card to keep it cool. This stuff just sticks and builds up like snow on a mountain. And it's sticky and grimy, and you wipe this and you can't get it off, and then it gets stuck in the cracks between the surface mount components. The thing that concerns me is that this stuff is, in all likelihood, slightly conductive. So in time, as it builds up, it'll short out your electronics and make them fail, and you'll never have any idea why they failed, but it's because you've got conductive gunk all over, not to mention what it's doing to your body. Here's another shot. The airflow on this particular shot was flowing left to right, so you can see the piles of this sticky, gooey stuff that just builds up. And this is the kind of stuff like a lot of people report on their windshields after heavy spraying. They'll have oily film on their windshields. And I believe, and I'm just going to say this straight out, I don't have any apologies saying this, because based on all the pieces I put together, I truly believe this to be true, and eventually it will be common knowledge. It'll take a few years yet, but eventually it will be. That there are many types of chemtrails. I've written an article. There's 12 different types that I have isolated, different components, different tastes, different smells, different symptoms, completely different. I mean, the smells and tastes are completely different. The symptom sets do overlap, but some are completely different. Like the pharmaceutical type will make you just feel like you just took sleeping pills. You just can't function. And that's the pharmaceutical type, for instance. I believe that mercury is in at least 2 of them, and I believe now 3. They've added it to another type because they love mercury. Mercury is such a great way to get people sick over the long term, and they never trace it back to mercury because of the lack of doctor knowledge. It was written out of the pharmaceutical books back in the 30s about how doctors treat it and detect it properly. It goes undetected. That's why I've talked to hundreds and probably thousands of people. In so many of these stories, they tell me that they've gone to doctor after doctor after doctor, and nobody could do anything. No doctor, they never detected that mercury was the problem. They did blood tests, they never found mercury. That's because you can't do a blood test. 9 times out of 10, a blood test will not show high mercury even when you're mercury toxic. It's out of the blood very quickly, but doctors don't know that because they're not trained. It was written out. They prepared to poison the public with mercury a long time ago. And in fact, this is stuff, and this is where it gets into the quote-unquote spiritual part of it, and I said this in an earlier show, is that you'll find in ancient cultures, and I think this is beginning to get covered up now because there was some information available. It's starting to disappear on the net. But ancient cultures that had mercury show up, that they knew about that mercury, poisoning the public with mercury was a modality of public control. In fact, I don't have that study anymore, I don't think, but I saw a study once that actually said mercury helps make groups of people more controllable. And they knew about this in ancient Egypt, they knew about this in other civilizations, and they would poison the public with mercury or substances that contained that they knew had mercury, was cinnabar, and then they would actually take powdered gold, and gold is a sequester of mercury. Gold actually chelates mercury out of the body. Other things do too, but gold is very effective at that. And so this was one way that the rulers stayed normal while the subjects got fearful and therefore became very easy to rule over because they were very fearful. You know, if it was funny because after I was a very fearful person too growing up through the years, but when my mercury came out, I used to be the kind of guy that was fearful. And although I had a lot of passion inside, I always shied away from confrontation and always avoided confrontation. After the mercury came out, I changed. I was like, don't lie to me. I didn't get aggressive or anything. I'm still a gentleman. I still want to be nice to people and all the same things. But I was no longer afraid of confrontation. And it was astonishing. And I realized what a difference that would make in a culture if you actually poisoned everybody with mercury. Mercury is an incredibly powerful control mechanism, along with fluoride and other things. But mercury, I think, is the golden goose, so to speak. All right, back to the video card. Here you see the air pass from left to right. You see it piling up here, and it begins to short out the contacts on the sides of these little capacitors and resistors and transistors, these surface mount components, eventually killing your computer components. And here's one more shot. More gunk. Look how this is the inside of a fan. Just builds up like crazy. Here's one thing I wanted to show you earlier that I said I'd get back to. This is actually a photograph. This is shocking right here. This photograph was taken about 2 feet from where my feet are in the carpet right now. When I moved into this house, I put 2 computers side by side. I had 2 computers. I just have one now, but I had 2 because I had to develop on an older operating system where I wrote software on. Now I use a virtual machine to do that on one machine. But I had 2 computers sitting side by side. You can see the second computer here turned sideways. Look at the carpet. Look at the dark. Let me see if I can zoom in on this a little bit here. This was so astonishing to me. This has never happened before. And I've had computers. I mean, I had computers since, you know, I had Apple, Commodore. I had them back in the 80s. I mean, I was programming in high school. I taught myself how to program on Apple computers and Commodores. Okay. In the old days, when you had your computer, you get little demarcations around your carpet like this because the fans are continually blowing air through your computer case. And they'll inevitably blow a little air out the front grooves here a little bit. And so dirt eventually kind of piles up. And this stuff, since I started ever building computers, you can get a vacuum cleaner and just vacuum over it because it's all just free dust. It'll come right up and be gone. You'll never see it again. And that's what I would do, right? This is after it's been vacuumed. This is the first time I actually I take that back. This is not the first time. I finally photographed this because this happened in Jamestown, but I didn't go to the trouble. But the air is now carrying all of this dark dust stuff, this oily, grimy stuff. And I believe oil, and this is what I forgot to say earlier, I was going to talk about the oily film that people have in their windshields. I believe that that's a mercury carrier. You can't just drop mercury on people, you have to have a carrier. And you want to have something that'll stick, that'll absorb, that'll be organically reactive. And I think it's my theory, this is, or a hypothesis, I maybe shouldn't even call it a theory, but I believe that they're using oil as a carrier for mercury, because one of the types that causes mercury symptoms is the acetone type. When every single time I've ever seen one of those halos around the sun or the moon, the acetone type was present. That's what causes, that's a particular chemtrail type that causes that, because anybody as old as I am knows that those artifacts in the sky have not existed before. Having said that, you're going to start seeing them appear from 30, 40, 50 years ago in photographs now, because that's what they do. That's what disinformation does, which I'm going to get into a little bit in a minute. Because you have to know and understand disinformation so you're not tripped up by it. This stuff will not vacuum out. This is the oil, oily stuff from chemtrails, I believe. That's a carrier for mercury. Mercury, when you have it spread out in small particles, is black. I'm not saying this is all mercury, but I will tell you that people in different parts of the United States are now finding mercury. They're doing dust tests in their HEPA filters. They collect the dust, send it to a lab, and they're finding mercury. I found it. I know many other people who found it as well. What is mercury doing in our filters, in the air filters? I'll tell you what it's doing. It's getting there because I think three chemtrail types are now carriers. They use an oil base to carry the mercury. That oil base sticks to everything and you can't get it out. And that's what we're seeing happen here. So, all right, enough down that rabbit hole. I do want to talk about disinformation. I'm back at the Global Skywatch website. I'm going to the chemtrail news feed, which is right here. And I want to tell you that disinformation is coming on fast and hard, more and more and more these days. It's getting worse and worse, and you've got to know it. You've got to understand it. I have such a desire, forgive me, I have such a desire to get into the heads of those. Let me do a little bit after this. I just was not prepared, unfortunately, because of the audio problems I had to sort out 6 hours before the show started. But I really, really hope next week I will be able to dive into this in a way that will blow your mind. Because you're going to see things, I'm going to tell you right now, you're going to see things in your life. We're on the edge of the pinnacle of history. You're going to see things in the next few years, the next maybe decade at most, but things are going to start to happen, and maybe even this year. I mean, I know a lot of people talk about September. I don't know the timing exactly, but all the signs, all the indicators are showing that it's very, very close. And you're going to see things that nobody has ever seen before, and you need to be prepared for them. And I want to be somebody who helps people to know that they need to be prepared. I don't care about profiting about this. I know there are people online, you know, the shills have accused me of making all kinds of money. I don't. I lose money. I told them, somebody wrote me an email last week talking about how bad a person I am because I'm profiting from this. And I said, well, I'm doing a pretty bad job because I lose much more money than I make. The only money I make is on ads. I run ads. In fact, you'll see ads up here on the group. And I recover enough money from these ads to cover about 1/4 of my server costs every month. So I'm paying out about $65 and making about $15. So there you have it. And I told the person who wrote me this email, I said, if I'm trying to profit, I'm doing a really bad job because I'm in the red, and I've been in the red ever since I started doing this. I don't care about making money. It's not about making money. It's about getting this insanity to stop so I can have my life back, and so the evil that these people are doing will be exposed and stopped for the sake of everybody, everything, all life. This is a very big deal, and the accusations just continue because these people don't want to hear it. They're just trying to discourage me. I told them, I said, if I really cared about money, I would go back to work as an embedded systems designer, and then I would actually enter the middle class again. You know, then I could actually live a middle class life, because I don't live a middle class life right now, and I can do that because I am an embedded systems designer. I can do circuit board design. I can do computer design, embedded systems, processors. That's my field, but that's not what I'm doing. So here's what I wanted to show you. Modalities of disinformation. There's an article right here. Remember, we're in the Global Skywatch news feed, right there. Modalities of disinformation. This is a new article. This has stirred up several shills, sent me some angry emails over this one. They didn't like this, and I don't care because it's the truth. I want to share this with you. This is very important. This is how desperate they are to disinform you. They do not want you or the public to believe what is really going on, because there will be trials, there will be executions, there will be an uprising among the people that has never happened before in history. If people were to find out, they will spend, they have no limits on the amount of money that they will spend to cover this up. There are no limits to the things that they will do. I want you to understand something, is that I got involved with a political party called the U.S. Taxpayers Party. This was a constitutional-based political party, and I really believed in what they were doing. They ran a guy for president. They ran Howard Phillips. I met Howard Phillips in Orlando. I saw him speak there, shook his hand, chatted with him a bit. The guy is absolutely incredible. He worked in the Nixon administration. He's a genius. I mean, he did his speech off the top of his head. You probably never heard of him. He spoke off the top of his head. I sat there with my jaw open because he taught me things, names, dates, places. He talked for maybe it was 2 hours. It seemed like 15 minutes to me because I just soaked it in. Howard Phillips was his name. Anyway, when I was involved in the Taxpayers Party, we were learning. They were teaching us and showing us about how the power elite were disinforming the public. What did they do? And it's amazing that after all this, and this was in the early 90s that I was doing this, it's amazing that this much time has passed and the American public still doesn't understand that this is what's being done to them. A lot of people are learning, and they're learning more and more quickly, which is why you're going to have big events happening very soon, I believe, because they're going to have to create this chaos in order to overcome and justify the bad things that they're going to do in the world to try to quench the uprising that is in the making right now. But they taught us in the Taxpayers Party the things that they do, and these are things like they would go into libraries and they would change the microfilm and the microfiche. This is how they change history. You know, they will go in there and they will replace the they'll check out microfiche or look at it in the machines, and then they'll have another one that is made up, but it will have articles that are put into that microfilm and microfiche that have been faked, and they will put those back into the library and take the original and destroy it. They'll take it out of the library with them and destroy it, and the library never knows what happened. They'll do the same thing with books. You know, take books out, bring in a fake copy of a book that has different information and implant the books in there. This was standard operating procedure. This was going on through the 70s, the 80s, and the 90s. And the technology to make microfiche, of course we don't do that anymore, but that technology was very well established. Anybody could buy the machinery to do it, especially people with that kind of money. This was all stuff that they had down pat. And what they could do then is that, and I'm seeing this emerge today, you've got to realize what's going on, and this is why I'm sharing this, is that there are more and more news stories coming out, and even activists, there's activists, a few activists sharing this, they're showing old newspaper articles that are imaged from microfiche and microfilm. And these articles talk about, they have articles embedded in these old newspapers from the 70s and 60s, 80s, about contrails covering the sky. And the government's going to do something about the contrails and the web of trails covering the sky and all of this stuff. And these articles are now being promoted even by a few activists, which is astonishing. And beware of this. Just because you see an article in microfiche, don't assume that that is real. And this is not paranoia. You know, some of the shows are going to say, oh, they're so paranoid, you're all so paranoid, this, that, and the other. It's not paranoia, it's called wisdom. Because this is a modality of disinformation, in that the people who want to disinform you will overwhelm you with false information, and they'll do it from sources that you can't comprehend that they would be lying about. It gets to a point where you're like, who are these people that they would replace microfiche, microfilm, that they would put artificially aged books in a library after stealing, you know, taking out the originals and replacing them. But you see, I'm seeing an onslaught right now of this happening. They're trying to convince you that contrails have been covering the sky for the last 20 and 30 years, that this is an old problem. The skies have always looked the way they do now. This is the lying disinformation that they're trying to give you. And a lot of people will be swayed by the fact that microfilm, microfiche of old newspapers show these articles, which have articles about the U.S. government and trying to deal with this problem, and they're going to replace. They're going to put equipment on jets to try to suppress this, and that didn't work. They're going to try to do this and that to suppress them. They're going to pass new legislation. Well, this is all a lie. I am old enough, and most of you listening, hopefully, or many of you anyway, have been around long enough to know that the skies have not looked this way. I've traveled the United States by air, by car, on a regular basis, lived on military bases, and I could go on and on and on. I took flight lessons myself. I've had pilots call me, in fact, thanking me that I'm standing up for this because they know this is a lie. They know. I've had pilots call me up and just literally say, thank you. I just wanted to call you and thank you for what you're doing. We know what's going on. And they don't give me, very few of them will give me their name or any information, and I don't dig out of respect for them. But that's what they do. So just because you see an old newspaper article or a book, if you go to the library and you see a book and you see a picture from 20 years ago and the sky is covered with these trails, that you don't know that book wasn't artificially marked up. It's a science. Creating artificially aged artifacts is a science. And they have unlimited funds to lie to you. We have reached a time in history where you have to rely on your own memory and your own senses and not believe any media that they put before you. Because, as you already know, video can be completely faked. And I did a show on that. In fact, let me show you where to find that show. Go to Global Skywatch Radio Archives. And there's a couple... I'm doing a page search here. Oh, I'm forgetting what it was called. Okay, let me give it one. I don't give up easily. It's here somewhere. Done a lot of there it is. Look for this. Okay, NBC News, contrail disinformation debunked. There's this. We did a show here, and this was back in September of 2013, about this news article about the sky being covered with jet contrails. All the disinformation that's in this show, in this video clip that you'll see, is exactly the lies that they're trying to sell to the public today. It's exactly the same thing. I believe this is a completely falsified. In fact, on the disinformation sites, Meta blank and Contrail blank, I don't say their sites because we don't want to give them exposure. But on those sites, they actually have witnesses who said, oh, I've seen this. I actually saw it when it was originally broadcast. Really? You actually remember 30 years ago a 3-minute broadcast that you saw on television? Really? That's just fascinating, of this problem that was very common and happened all the time, and they have witnesses. Do you know how easy it is to buy false witnesses? You don't know who these witnesses are. The technology exists to actually scan somebody's face on television from video, and then create a computer-based script, and they will read the script, and it will look exactly like that person talking. And this show actually goes into that. So therefore, you cannot believe video. You already know that, from watching movies with special effects. You can't believe anything. They can make stuff so realistic you can't tell the difference whether it's fake or real. In fact, you can do that on PCs. I've seen people make PCs of UFOs and all kinds of things that were debunked later on, but you can't tell the difference. You can't tell from books because they can be artificially aged. You can't tell from microfilm or microfiche. You can't even tell videos, because part of the agenda that we learned about when I was working with a political party is that they would actually go and replace videotapes with altered videotapes. This is all part of altering history. Back then it was the age of VHS, There weren't any DVDs available to the public anyway. So I just want to encourage all of you to understand and check out this article, The Modalities of Different Disinformation. It's a pretty brief article that's right to the point. and talks to you about the alterations of old cartoons, videos, sitcoms are being altered. We actually have we have evidence, we actually have side-by-side evidence of one. But understand that these are, unless you have a copy of something that's been in your possession the entire time, you can't go to a thrift shop, you cannot go on eBay and expect that these are not altered, because these are all modalities of different disinformation. eBay is an excellent way to introduce disinformation in the form of old videos back into society. As you sell this stuff that's artificially aged, you sell these videos or these old DVDs or whatever, these movies, back to people with alterations in them. And we're seeing that begin to happen. We actually saw that with videos back in the 80s that was being done. Today it's much harder for them to get away with, because there are people on the web you can quickly show them side by side, so they're having a much harder time with that. Nevertheless, it does happen, and here I talk about artificially aged books, and do searches on the internet about this technology. Novels, textbooks, newspaper articles which have contrails added to them. The articles cleverly make assertions about government agencies which have concerns about skies covered with jet trails. All of this garbage where they're trying to teach you that this has been the way it's always been. I'm not young anymore, and I will tell you, I am witnessing to you firsthand young people who don't know what the sky looked like 20 or 30 years ago. I never saw a trail come out of a jet, and most people never have. And the few that have either saw a jet that used water injection or a different type of engine than is used today. But today's engines don't make trails. Let me see what else I want to go with you. It's getting late. It's 11:20 on the East Coast here. I know people are getting tired and want to go. I have a whole list of things I'm looking at right now off screen. You can't see it. But I have a whole list of articles and things that I wanted to go over tonight, but I had absolutely zero time to prepare because of the audio issues that I had with the live stream system. So probably what I'll do is I'll tie it up. If anybody wants to call in, make a final comment, now's your time. Go to globalskywatch.com/live in the next 2 minutes. Hop on the audio, the call-in console, and you're more than welcome to make an announcement or say anything you want to say, that any opinions or anything that you have. I hope tonight has been educational. I do apologize. Yeah, Gary, be with you in just a second. I do apologize for anybody who came here wanting to hear what's in the elites' heads. I will do everything in my power to make sure that material is ready by next week, and that we will do a show, and you will be shocked to learn where they get their commands from, why they do what they do, why they believe what they believe, because they are utterly convinced that what they're doing is the right thing, and it's unconscionable to you. But when you understand where they come from, then you will understand why they believe it. I'm not saying you're going to justify it, and there is no way to truly justify it, because they have been, by their own greed, blinded by their own internal corruption, and that's what's happening. And also there are a lot of well-meaning people who've gotten caught up in occultic type of belief systems, and I understand. If you're into that, understand that I don't misunderstand. The occult just means secret or hidden, and I'm not saying that there isn't a whole lot of truth there. But what I'm going to reveal to you is why, and we're going to answer these questions when I finally do this lecture, I hope next Monday night. Why is there an explosion of magicians on television? And some of them are doing tricks that you can't imagine. You don't understand how they're doing it or why they're doing it. All of this plays a role in the end of this age. We are at the very end of an age, and there's going to be a huge change in the next few years, not very many years. Everything is going to change. And the appearance of all these magicians is a critical part of it, and you're going to learn why it's a critical part of it. Also, what other things that I want to say that we're going to talk about? There's going to be a lot. There are some very well-meaning people who are talking about occult things, but the other thing I wanted to say was there are a shocking number of people in Hollywood that commune with people spiritually. They commune. In fact, there's a clip in the Walter Veith video where President Clinton, in fact, I'm going to make a note to play this to you. She claims, her husband claims that that Hillary communed with Eleanor Roosevelt. And this is live. This is right from a speech that Clinton gave. And what I want to explain to you is what is the spiritual side of what's going on. Because all of this emanates from spiritual beliefs that these elites have. And when you understand, I'm going to show you that video next week, barring any catastrophe, you're going to understand some of the well-meaning people who are teaching a lot of this occult information. And there's so much truth to it. Sacred geometry, all of this incredible stuff that is coming out, it's just exploding and being taught to the public. Why is that happening now? Why is it coming through in Saturday morning cartoons? What is the point of it all? There's a very specific point, and you have to know what it is, or you're going to step on one of those landmines that I talked about earlier. There are some very well-known people that I believe are genuinely just deceived. They truly believe that what they're doing is right, and they're trying to teach the public about these things. But you have to remember this critical thing, is that one of the modalities of deception, which are listed on the screen right now, I hope you go check out that article, is to overwhelm you with a quantity of information. When the quality of information is lacking, they will overwhelm you with a quantity of information. And within that quantity of information, there will be much truth. And the fact that there is truth there will convince you that the rest is true, but you can never make that assumption. Don't ever assume that a truth is sitting right next to another truth, because that is one of the key modalities of deception, is they put a lie right next to the truth. This quantity of spiritualism that is taking place as well, rappers, singers, actors, actresses who actually draw on spiritual powers, and this is not me making this up, this is from their own words, and you're going to see some of this next week, as long as nothing gets in my way like it did this week. You're going to see this. Why do they do this? What do they believe? Why do they believe this? Why are they drawing upon spiritual powers? What do they believe about spiritual powers? Why did the Catholic Church name their telescope Lucifer? Why is Catholic Church promoting ecumenicalism right now, bringing all the religions together? But you have to understand, you have to keep your eyes open, because there's one group being excluded from all of those who are coming together. There's one group that they are excluding. They're not going to bring them in. And in fact, they wrote in their literature, and I'm going to reveal that to you. Who are these people that they're excluding, and why are they excluding? These people are not welcome into the New Age. Why? Why? And how does that affect you? Because this stuff personally affects you. It absolutely personally affects you. It directly relates to your life, and in fact, I believe it's the most important part of your life. And the deception is so strong and so widespread today that if you don't understand these fundamentals, you will be walking on landmines one after another, because that's what they do. All right, before we go, sound like Gary wanted to speak up. Let me unmute his phone. Gary, you there? Gary, you with us?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, did you want to say something?
Yeah, what about Thursday, September 10th? What is that, a get-together? Call in and fight that Liz was going to put together?
Yeah, we're having a group of people who are meeting by Skype. I think, I'm not sure exactly what we're going to do or who's going to be there. I'm not really sure. I've been just so swamped I haven't been able to keep up with all the details. But I'm sure that the people who are going to be involved probably already know. So I don't know, unfortunately. I don't know all the details about it, but I am going to be there. So, you know, hopefully, if the word needs to get out, I'll be more than happy to put it on the Global Skywatch Facebook group so more people get exposed to it. So,
You're going to be live?
It's not going to be broadcast, I believe. It's just going to be a meeting of people on Skype.
Okay.
Yeah. So I don't think there's going to be any live broadcast of it at all. It's just kind of an organizational type of thing, not a broadcast type of thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
All right. Hey, thank you, Gary. Okay. This is Russ Tanner from Global Skywatch. Thank you for joining us this week. I again apologize that I did not have the material ready that I wanted to have ready, but with all hope, next week I will have this, and we will really get down into some news. There's a lot of news on my list I wanted to go over as well, but it is 11:30 already, and we've got to wrap this up. Next week, I want to start every show, so please tell anyone you know. If you have anyone who has an event coming up who wants to make an announcement, I would like to allocate maybe 3 minutes per person to get on, make announcements, and then those people can stay on and we can chat afterward. But we want to get through all these announcements. So anybody who wants to know what's going on over the next month, they can listen to the first 5 minutes or 10 minutes of the show and they get all caught up with all those details, and they don't have to listen to the rest of the show if they don't want to. But that information, I'd like to put that all up front at the top of the show. So if you know anybody or you have an event coming up, please let me know. Please also check out our sister website. We have a link to it on the Global Skywatch website here. If you look down here, it's called Orbis Vitae. There's a link right down here. You may never have noticed or known what it's about. Just click on that and then go into the click on the Media Depot, which is this big square right here. And we have thousands of videos. If you just spent a few hours every Saturday watching a few videos and on this site, it will change your life. It'll change your worldview. And we hand select all these videos to help people learn about all of these issues. And you'll see everything from Mercury, vaccines, chemtrails, Bible, scientism, J. Helm, the FDA, GMOs, global warming, creation, evolution, abortion, 9/11, Boston Marathon, gun control, sky sounds, thorium, Ebola, vote fraud, Fukushima, fluoride, fracking, Teflon, psychotropic drugs, real ID, swine flu, MSG, sweeteners, net neutrality, amygdalin, which is B17, hormone replacement therapy, cell smartphones, EMF issues, and a whole bunch more things. So we have all kinds of stuff there for you. Please check it out, share it. We live in a time when information needs to get out because the deception is very, very strong. All right, please join us next week. We're here every Monday night, 9 o'clock p.m. If you have an announcement to make, we're going to make it early and get those all done in the first part of the show. So please make sure any events coming up, you're more than welcome. If you can't make it or you don't want to talk on the show, send me an email, say you want it announced, and I'll read it for you. Just write something out for me to read. It's like a PSA, like a public service announcement. Every Monday night, 9 o'clock p.m. Eastern Time, 6 p.m. Pacific Time. We're here. This is Global Skywatch Radio. Please keep up the fight. From the bottom of my heart, I thank you. And remember what we said at the beginning of this meeting tonight. Be emotional. This is something worth getting emotional about. Let people know you're upset. Let people know how you feel, because this is worth your indignation, your righteous anger. If there was ever anything worth being angry about, it is the largest crime against humanity in human history. And you are the ones who are living through it. And you will live through it. You will stop it. Or you will determine what's going to happen by your actions, by your passion, and by the things that you do and how you respond to all of this. It's up to all of us. Please get involved and do something. If there's anything I can do to help with any project, you need computer help, you need DVDs burned, you need whatever, please visit this area of our website. Go to globalskywatch.com. Look on the video stream right now, and there's a place called Network with Others. This is very powerful. There's a section here called I'm looking for help with my project, and I have a skill I want to share. This is where you meet up with people to start your project and get the help you need. There are people out there that will burn DVDs for you. There are people out there that will fix your computers for you. There are people out there that will help set up your servers, your WordPress sites, your blogs will help you. They will help you. And if you have a skill that you want to share, put it here so people can see. Networking is the way we're going to do this, and that's why we provided these two forums. Go on there, browse the people, find the people to help you with your project, and move forward and make it happen. And if you need help from me or you want help contacting people through me, Russ at globalskywatch.com. Visit me anytime, write me anytime, and I will do what I can. Thank you all for joining us. If all goes well, next week we will actually delve into what the elites actually think and why they do what they do. Until then, good night. Be strong. Bye-bye.